Hello, welcome to the Square Base Show with your host, Rob and Val. In today's show, we're going to get a little bit dark, a little bit evil, and a little bit demonic.
It's Demons of Chaos.
It's the Demons of Chaos. I've heard you have been doing a lot of work on this.
This one was a lot, Rob. It was a lot. May have made a Faustian bargain to get to the end here.
Perfect.
Which is words I used when describing AI the other day and confused somebody, and I felt good about myself. So
Nice.
Now everyone else out there, Faustian bargain, look
You're
it
on
up.
the side of the Pope.
Cool.
Who'd have thought?
I think Dr. Faustus is definitely not on the side of the Pope. Oh,
Being
I get
against
it.
AI.
Yes. Got it. Good. Yes.
Cool.
I'm with you.
I like being dressed as the devil, but
coordinated.
being on the side of the Pope. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, I'm sending mixed Warhammer Pope messages today, but that's fine because it's Demons of Chaos Day, Rob. We're here. We finally made it.
Incredibly exciting. Maybe one of the an incredibly iconic faction, obviously for Warhammer Fantasy specifically.
Yeah.
Demons of Chaos. Were there any unique challenges in approaching what is a massive, series of units and rules?
The whole thing was a massive challenge. This is a gigantic risk. I might sink the entire Renegade project right now, but at least I look like a complete dumbass. And I'm swinging. I'm gonna go down swinging if I'm going down here, Rob.
Could you give me the elevator pitch? Give me the two line or whatever the hell they call it in the meetings. What is the what are you selling? Like, give me that. All
right. What I'm selling here, is a faction that I think is integral and iconic to Warhammer, the old world, Warhammer fantasy battles. We are on a timeline approaching the Great War against Chaos, and you're telling me we're not going to have demons involved? I'm not going to accept that, sir. And so I see this as a faction that lives somewhere between Warriors of Chaos and Beastmen and Undead. I think sort of mechanically, vibesy, that's kind of where a demon lives.
Yes.
And what we're about to go on is a wild journey of how do you achieve that? Because there's another influence, I'd say, from like a big view of what the vibe of the Demons of Chaos should be, and that is they're kind of like elves in the sense that they are very expensive. And they have always been written to be elite. And sometimes they've had the gas on the fire, and sometimes they have not. I've gone back in extreme detail on Hordes of Chaos, Storm of Chaos, 7th edition, legendary 7th edition Demons of Chaos book by Mr. Matt Ward. And then Matt Ward's Mea Culpa, his 8th edition Demons of Chaos army book. And I'll tell you, all four of those things are very different. That's the thing, is Demons never really settled, I think, to a fully stable archetype like a lot of other armies probably did. And so although the stat lines are the same, and even a lot of the points are the same, a lot of the a lot of the units are the same, you get, with the layering of rules on top of that, very different styles to the Demons of Chaos. And now we have a Renegade version because the old world, and then I'm terrible at elevator pitches. I don't like being in them. But but the other thing about where do we find the Legacy faction? Where do we find the Legacy factions is, I think they have a very big problem of the Demons of Chaos are paying for rules they used to have. And if you're looking at just the Legacy PDF, not even the Renegade modifications to that, you have a very, very tough to build army list, just like with all of its conditions and the way it works and fits together. And everything is really expensive and underwhelming. This is an army that we have very comfortably placed in D tier. So that is a 30% across the board point reduction. And Rob, are they dominating the TSN right now?
No, sir. Not remotely. They did actually 5-0 at the last event, actually, but that was the Riverlands event. So that was unique. Obviously, it was match play, but it was also still had a big river in the middle. So it was a little bit different to like a match play event. So there's lots of like, oh, there's a mistake, or oh, I should hold a low linear riverbank sort of thing.
Yeah.
So no, not really, no. But as we've seen at the TSN events, at least, meta representation is very different. You've seen a few more people playing demons, but still generally considered to be a little weak source ultimately.
Yeah, and I think also bland. Not a lot of fun. Not a lot of sort of cool things you can do, especially if you're running Legacy PDF. The 1.5 Renegades did a lot, I think, to at least make them a little fun, but not a lot going on there. So what we're gonna go on is a wild journey of how do we get demons their vibe back, and perhaps the riskiest move of all time, perhaps give them a vibe they've never had.
Oh, okay. Last question, because I think this is a really vital one, or at least I believe it to be. With what you see in 40k, what you see in Age of Sigmar, and also obviously you see from things like Heresy, like the gods are split up. You know, it's a very old school idea that you have all four. This is 4 different armies in totality, right?
Yeah.
You have these 4 different armies, all smashed together or smushed together in a single book. And it seems odd. Seems to be definitely like a modern trend to disenfranchise them from each other, which I think I personally also agree with. I like the concept. I'm a micro faction guy. I'm on record. No one asked. No one cares.
Something about Warhammer vegetables. I'm sorry. There's something about Warhammer players where they don't like their meat touching their vegetables. You know, like they like everything to be. You know, I
also think that if you separate them out, you get to expand and also explore them more. They get more like detail kind of versus everything kind of smushed together. So I think that was good. Would you, like, having looked back through all of these books now, do you think that would have been at some point, had that separation occurred, do you think that would have given them more identity? It would have made them would have given them more of an opportunity to play?
You know, I think that's a really keen point. You know, monofaction rules has been something that people requested a lot, and I do think that that's more of an Arcane Journal type of thing, right? Yeah. So like a Khornate demonic horde could be a cool Arcane Journal inspiration. Historically, when you look back, it started as mixed chaos, hordes of chaos, so demons, and I know all you 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition stands out there. They did exist before this, but 6th edition, as far back as I go, usually. You know, in the Hordes of Chaos list, they were just mix and match. It was cool because there were a lot of mechanics around mixing mortals and immortals, with demons. And then when you get into the 7th edition book, explicitly, Matt Ward talks about in a really neat 2 pages in the 7th edition book about building a Demons of Chaos army. I wish they did this more often. But he talks about how, look, some of these guys don't like each other. Some of these gods have rivalries or whatever, but they hate the foe more than they hate each other. So they put that aside. So it was the 7th edition book was very much designed to be Rainbow Coalition. All the flavors of evil get to play together, and that's the way it was. And then you get to 8th edition, and they bring in some. What always felt really lame to me was very restrictive rules writing, where you couldn't share your general or your BSB. So whatever your favorite god was, whatever mark or whatever god your general had, they could only give inspiring presence to that god, and same for the BSB, which kind of forced you into more of a monofaction lane without much benefit. And that's also where you see them adding the hatred for the god that they don't like. Mm-hmm. So, and then when you get to Old World, you get this weird combo in the Legacy PDFs these days, which it appears that they can share inspiring presence, so from the general, but they cannot share the demonic locus. Right. So we'll see how that was addressed. But no, this will be a mix and match grand army list, because we are, designing a grand army of the Demons of Chaos here.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Let's take a look, shall we?
Far too in depth. How do you want to do this? I usually just yell at you for 2 hours on these events. Do you want to do some reading and I can do some reacting? What do you want to do? Do you want to just
No, you might as well just why break a system that everyone enjoys? No one wants to hear what I've got to say on the subject. So let's
I
just.
do. I
Yeah,
desperately
that's different.
need your
That's
validation,
different,
Rob.
That's different.
Look
You
at me.
can
Look at
you can call me after.
All right. Well, your hot takes are appreciated. I might have to take off my child sunglasses though, because it's hard for me
I
to
think
see
you
anything.
should. I think you should.
All right.
Let's just do it. There you go.
Who am I? Who am I? Lord Blacksel?
Oh, yes, you did an interview with him recently. How was that?
I thought it was fun. Hopefully, it didn't sound like too much of a dork, but you know, always love over philosophizing about Warhammer. So yeah, if you're interested in more, go check it out on Dr. Blacksoul's page.
Yeah. Also, if I would like to get my hands on a copy of this text, how would I do that?
Yes, there'll be a link in the description. Actually, there'll be a link to all of the current drafts of the Renegade Legacy Pack currently in play. We are now at 5 of 7, folks. We are getting to the end immediately. Wow. Next up is Lizardman. I guess this should have been at the beginning. Next up is Lizardman.
Whoa.
And that what? Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's big gossip.
I know Robbo might be excited. And then also, before I really get to grips with Lizardmen, because I'm so excited for it, I'm going to officially double back and do any of the updates that need to be done to the already released documents. Some of them will be going to final copy in their 0.3. So that means we will start seeing the published drafts ideally start appearing next week in June. I did not hit my desperate target of everything released by June in draft form, but we'll at least be real close with Lizardman next week. So there you go.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, everybody. Wait, hold on. Did you actually say where the link was? I don't think you did. I think you said everything would be available.
It'll be in the didgeridoo.
It'll
be down below. And it's a link to it'll be a link to all the drafts as well.
All right. Let the 2 hours of shouting commence.
Bum, bum, bum. I mean, if we do this in 2 hours, that'll be efficient. All right. So the Daemons of Chaos Grand Army list here. You'll see a lot of the things have remained the same. Blue, by the way, for folks at home playing along, blue means it is the same as the Renegade Legacy Pack 1.5. So I haven't really changed anything material. Maybe the formatting changed. Pink means something has changed from that. Or from the actual Legacy PDF. So that's how we read these things. The big shift in the way Renegades 1.5 worked for Demons was essentially, rather than the way it was set up, which I kind of don't even want to explain, we have, based on your army's general, you can take two different types of core unit. Core units are just Bloodletters, Plaguebearers, Demonettes, Pink Horrors, and Chaos Furies. And then say if you're Khorne, then you get to bring Fleshhounds. If you're Nurgle, you get to bring Nurgles, Slaanesh, Seekers, and Tzeentch gets to bring Blue Horrors and Brimstone Horrors.
Nice.
So that's how that works. They basically get promoted up from special. I guess I should point out too that the way the characters work, in the original list, I'm pretty sure it's just 0 to 1 for Greater Demons. We do 0 to 1 for per 1,000 points. And per unit with the same demonic alignment. So there has to be at least, another unit with the Demon of Khorne rule in order to take a Bloodthirster.
Right.
And the same rule applies to Demonic Heralds, which are all 0 to 1, and then 0 to 1 Demon Prince per 1,000 points, which is maybe the only thing that didn't change in this Grand Army list. So one of the biggest pieces of criticism / feedback / pain points for passionate Demons players out there from the Legacy PDF to the Renegade list was that when I did that originally, I did not then allow for Rare to jump up to Special. This especially impacted the Plague Drones, which in their 8th edition army book were Rare, but I'm pretty sure in the Legacy PDF jumped to Special. So when I put them back in their slot, which I thought they belonged in, unfortunately, that caused them to not be able to be brought as much in Nurgle armies.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've just extended the mechanic, which is now if your general is a demon of blank, you get 0 to 1 of the following, get to move from rare to special. And so Khorne gets a Soul Grinder, Demon of Khorne only. Mm-hmm. And then Nurgle gets Plague Drones. So there you go. Happy Nurgle. Slaanesh gets Hellflares, and Tzeentch gets Burning Chariots. one of the reasons why I went with the Soul Grinder for Khorne there instead of the Skull Cannon, hopefully, is obvious. I didn't want Khorne to just wind up being for Skull Cannons, and I couldn't figure out a way to do it. If you can think of a better way, tell me. Next up is the Battle Standard Bearer. So this is actually really fun because the Demonic Locus, the way it was originally written in the Legacy PDF, it was kind of uncertain as to like whether or not it actually was a BSB because of how it was worded. It was kind of sloppy. I think everyone just played it as it was, but we've now cleaned up this wording. And by the way, need to shout out there's just a litany of people who will get proper accreditation for this. But lots and lots of input was generated in the sort of pre-feedback phase. I've been working on this for weeks. And so there were some drafts that were looked at. And then especially I want to shout out Danny McDonald out in Ottawa. Danny was the beleaguered TO that I harassed at Capital City Bloodbath when I was a sideline reporter for The Honest Wargamer. And he's one of the most dedicated Demons players in Old World that I know of, and he provided just so many good insights, so many details. This detail, for example, I probably wouldn't have picked up on without his help. So really shout out to Danny. And then if I didn't name your name and you're not Danny, you also still helped, and you will get full credit later on. But anyway, want to shout him out particularly. So basically, this cleans it up. So now the battle standard, just like the way the Undead does it, the hold your ground, they are a BSB, and so they will get their 12-inch command range, and they swap their hold your ground rule for the Demonic Locus special rule, which we'll get into the details of shortly. So now we're buckling up. Everybody, you sitting down? Are you ready? Because we're gonna get a little crazy here.
Okay.
So, as I was saying, a lot of the vibe I'm looking for here is the sort of the space between the Warriors of Chaos or chaotic factions and undead. And the reason I say that is because demons have something similar to unstable, or and that in fact it is demonic instability. Which works mechanically similarly to how Undead did. And also the demonic rule, which only affects models in this army list. Nothing else in the core game has demonic as a keyword. The demonic rule, like Undead, is a little package. It's a package of stuff that you get that defines all of the characteristics of what a demonic model is. And so within that package of things, I think like Undead, there are some things that have been the same for a very long time. If anyone was wondering where the 5-up ward save against any wounds suffered caused by non-magical attacks came from, that's actually from the original Hordes of Chaos list. In 7th and 8th, they did not have the non-magical restriction, but that's how they were before. In Hordes of Chaos, they were just really, I don't know. I don't know how anyone would have played them in Hordes of Chaos. They were very easy to scare away. But what I'm beating around the bush here about is immune to psychology. So immune to psychology.
Oh, sorry. Before we get into this, I just like to say that, like, as my criticism for a very long time now of a lot of the content is that it's just copy and pasted from past generations. And now that we know, thanks to people like George and Sorcery and other people, the past generations of rules writers were sometimes just doing something on a Friday afternoon, which you now consider to be canon. You know, these are just human beings. Sometimes they were trying really hard. Sometimes they were not trying very hard at all. And like with Wood Elves, like, can you really build an evasion style army in a rank and flank game is a great question. And, you know, and it's either broken or it sucks like it currently does, right? As an example. And so I'm all for reimagining the concept, because it doesn't change the, because what a rule or rules should be trying to make me feel like I'm playing with a certain unit in a certain type of army. That's what it should be trying to do. It should be trying to tell me a story that through rules, and I should be trying to use that on the tabletop. That's my hot take. Before I read this, I haven't read this, by the way. Right?
Oh, really?
But I haven't read this part since it changed. So I just wanted to because I think I know where it's going, and I just wanted to back up the concept that I think, like, for instance, Wood Elves, I think they should just give Wood Elves a bunch of rules to play proper rank and flank Warhammer and not have 5 dudes sat in a fucking tree. I think it's dumb. So anyway, we'll move on. So,
well, I think being able to be evasive is dumb is kind of going to be something I'm going to have to win you over on, because the main reason I feel like it's super important to get rid of immune to psychology is because immune to psychology means that you automatically pass all fear, panic, terror tests, and you can't flee. And that means that the dynamism of a given army, especially if it's blanket immune to psych, and we know this from Undead very well, is it just stands there. There's not a lot of options that you have, and it gets kind of bland on the table.
Mm-hmm.
From a vibes perspective, I also would say that demons in this lore are representations, manifestations of raw emotional energy and magics. These are literally, this is like literally a swirling cloud of anger, you know, or sexiness, you know. So it is to me more interesting for them to not just blanket have immune to psychology, but give them the opportunity to have some space in the rules to do interesting things that I think will give them a lot more flavor. Because I think originally too, immune to psych, especially in previous editions, like especially, you know, when demons are coming around, you know, it doesn't make sense. I agree that a demon should be running away from something in terror. You know, I don't think that, you know, if a demon is failing a panic check, it's because it's scared. If a demon decides to flee from a charge, it's not because it, you know, it doesn't want to fight. There's other reasons why those things might be happening. And so just having blanket immune to psychology robs you of being able to tell that story and get that feel for them on the table. And the other thing is too, is that wrapped in a lot of those mechanics, specifically the way fallback in good order works. Well, fallback in good order to me feels a whole lot like just teleporting somewhere. You know, and also failing a panic check is something in a lot of the times in the game is now a good thing. Before you would break and flee. Now you often will fall back in good order. So there are benefits that there are to playing in the psychology phase that didn't used to exist. That because they just went with the way it always was, demons don't get to play with. So I will now submit my case for why demons no longer have blanket immune to psychology, and then we'll go through the mechanics of it to see. Because one other thing is too is that rather than it opens up the ability to use one of their key mechanics, which is demonic instability, more frequently. And as you'll see, that means that they're going to risk losing models to demonic instability and maybe even risk gaining some back. So that could be fun. So shall we get into demonic instability?
Yes, please, sir.
All right. So when a unit, I'm going to have to read. So there's going to be some read books. Here we go. So demonic instability. When a unit would normally be required to make a panic test, elects to flee as a charge reaction, or loses a round of combat, it must test for demonic instability before it gives ground, falls back in good order, or flees. To do so, the unit must make a leadership test. If the unit is in combat, apply a +1 modifier to the result for every combat result by which the combat was lost. If the natural result of the dice is a 2 or 12, something unexpected immediately happens. Now, this is something that was in the Legacy PDF. It comes from 8th edition. But I've added back the upside version of this. So the 2, so you roll really low, and it's a natural 2. You can't you know, modify this dice to get the 2. Reality blinks. Any wounds suffered by the unit during this phase, including any wounds suffered by characters that have joined it, are immediately recovered, and any models removed as casualties during this phase are returned to play and placed in their previous positions within the unit. Wounds recovered in this manner still count as having been lost for the purposes of calculating combat. So that means if you put a real hurt on a unit, say you kill 20 models, and you know, normally if I were to, you know, fail the instability check, then I'm losing, as you'll find out, 20 models or so, maybe less, maybe more. But what this says is, although I get those models back, they're still counting for basically the combat result. So I could wind up losing 10 of them still, you know, because now I have to go through the steps for this. And then the 12 result is banished. If only half or fewer than half of the models in the unit contained at the start of the battle still remain when this test was taken, or half or fewer than half of its starting number of wounds if it is a single model unit, such as a lone character, monster, or chariot, it is immediately removed from play and counts as having been destroyed. Otherwise, add D3 to the result. So banished right now is just a negative result. Happens on a 12, and happens if you're at full wounds. You could lose an entire unit. You can lose your 500-point greater demon. I thought adding the 50% restriction on this would be good because, again, we're going to be seeing these not a lot.
That is good. That is good.
You like that? Okay, good. And then, anyway, we're not going to see these a lot, but we're going to see them. And so, because obviously you're going to be rolling more demonic instability. So I thought it was better to follow more the rules actually that you see in psychology, which is, if you're below a certain threshold, you either have a negative to your leadership when you're trying to rally, or you just can't rally.
Also, it's locked to phase, whereas versions of this in the past were locked to the whole game, right? So, like, yes, I may recover a bunch of stuff, but actually, it's only for that phase.
It was always phase, but it only affected you in the combat because you were immune to psych. So this is a situation now where you can, shoot up a unit, cause overwhelming casualties, and then force an instability check. And that could result in all those guys coming back, blinking back in, or wiping the unit entirely. And the way, especially around panic, well, I'll get into the, my headcanon ways of explaining away why a demon might be affected by a panic. But anyway, if the demonic instability test is passed, the unit suffers no ill effects. So you just carry on. If the test is failed, the unit suffers a number of wounds equal to the amount by which the test was failed. If the unit contains any characters, these wounds are allocated to the unit first until each model has been allocated 1 wound. Any remaining wounds are then divided as equally as possible between the characters in the unit. No armor, warder, or regeneration saves are allowed against wounds suffered in this manner. So that gets around the whole can regen cover it or whatever situation. And then now we just look at how it's resolved. Once the effects of the demonic instability test have been resolved, if the unit is still in combat, it must now give ground, just as it always has. If the unit was in combat and completely destroyed, enemy units that were engaged in the combat may attempt to restrain and reform or overrun. That addresses the timing with when this happens versus when you give ground, etc. If the unit has failed a panic test, the unit does not flee. Instead, it will always fall back in good order, regardless of its remaining strength. So I just think this is cool. It's actually, I think, quite sneaky powerful. And something to think, one of the things I think of as this being a really good vibey thematic rule is demons are supported by, the winds of magic, which we're going to get into that in a second, and by the ether, the swirling power of chaotic energy that is on that battlefield. And when they get ripped, they don't die; they're immortal. But when you kill a demon, it's mortal. It's incarnate version. It's real space version. It's ripped from reality, and that is not a great experience for this immortal soul. And also, he's going back to see, he's going back to see Khorne, and Khorne's going to be pissed, or he might be banished for 100 years, or whatever. Like, it's a bad thing when this happens. But also, I just envision that a lot of demons dying, or things that are causing panic in mortals, would be causing disruptions to the things that hold them to this world. And that's how I am imagining this. And I think that is super duper cool. And it also means that if you deal a bunch of damage to a demon unit, you just kind of cause it to flicker in and out of existence, because it can panic, it can lose some models, and it will pop out and pop back in. And I just think that is really evocative and cool, mechanically interesting, and turns a panic situation into a potentially good one for the demon player, or disastrous if they wind up banished.
Yeah, I think we have enough armies that ignore charge reactions and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, it all seems fine to me. Makes a lot of sense. It's good.
Cool. And then the next one is if the unit elected to flee as a charge reaction, the unit will make a standard flee move, but will automatically rally at the end of its movement. So yes, baseline demons, therefore, and you'll see in the demonic alignments, don't panic yet, there's modifications to all of these. This is the base rule, and then we're going to make exceptions. But yes, that does mean that basically everyone has feigned flight in demons, which is potentially very powerful. And I want folks to know that I know that this is potentially very powerful, and I'd love to see how it plays first. But again, when you do this, you're running an instability check. So even if you you could potentially not banish yourself, but you could lose a few wounds to your very expensive unit, just electing to flee a charge reaction. And again, this is a situation where, like, Tzeentch isn't running away because it's scared. It's moving because it knows where it should be standing. Slaanesh needs, in my view, to be a very slippery and tough to catch opponent. So that's why I think this is a really important thing, and why they rally at the end is because, well, demons wouldn't just keep running. And it makes it a sort of a powerful situation for some of the gods. We'll see. Mm-hmm. So, how are we doing? Check it in. Are we still? Is this still a consensual podcast?
I'm here and I'm loving it.
All right, let's keep rolling, buddy. We're going into the Reign of Chaos table. This is a mechanic that only existed in 8th edition, but I loved it. Reminds me a lot of actually Yin and Yang, the Yin and Yang table from Cathay. By the way, Cathay is chaos. It's quite clear. There's Tzeentchian, and there's no one could tell me otherwise that Cathay isn't clearly a chaotic faction. But nonetheless, Reign of Chaos was used to be a 2d6 table and had all these kind of crazy things that would happen. And in this case, I just want something that's going to hopefully change the tone, or like sort of change the way decisions are made by the players, but not have an overwhelming effect. So balancing this is really important. And so I'm super open to hear what people think. Some folks have that I've circulated this with feel that this version that I have here might result in feel bads on both sides. But to me, that's chaos, man. I think part of getting cool rules and powerful abilities should be some degree of downside, as long as it's reasonable. So, Reign of Chaos, basically, there's 3 results. You can get a bad for the demons result on a 1. On a 2 to 5, everything is sort of neutral.
And this happens at the start of the turn, right?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I guess I should actually read the rule. It's during the start of each turn. During each of their start of turn subphases, the Demons of Chaos player rolls a d6 to determine the current ebb and flow of the winds of magic, testing whether the local ether is potent enough to sustain the host's tenuous grip on reality. Yeah, I wrote a few flavorful texts, just so you know. There's some Val creative juices sprinkled in here. But anyway, on a roll of 1, chaotic ebb, the aether dissipates, starving the demonic host of its vital anchoring energy. Until your next start of turn subphase, all friendly models with the demonic special rule have a 5+ ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by a non-magical enemy attack, and will generate a banished result on a natural roll of 11 or 12 when making a leadership test for demonic instability. So essentially, a roll of 1 returns you to legacy PDF rules. So I thought that would be easy enough to remember.
Okay.
So I thought that'd be easy enough to remember, and you're triggering bad boo-boo on an 11 or 12 when you're rolling demonic instability.
No one wants to go back to Renegades. Not Renegades, sorry, Legacy. No one wants to go back to Legacy.
No, and I would like to point out that the bad scenario for a Demons of Chaos army is literally the default rules that they have in the official book. So that's funny to me.
Can I also ask a question? Sorry.
Yes, please.
If I go first during the game, my opponent goes first during the game. I haven't had time to have a turn.
Ooh, baby.
And therefore, what would be?
That is amazing point, because they wouldn't have anything as this is written. I just need to write that we start in a Eye of the Storm.
Perfect. I thought that would be the answer. But
need to.
And I bring it up now so we don't forget later. That's all. And you're all seeing it live. We're doing it live.
There we go. See, guys, this is the magic of feedback. Thanks, Rob. What a great catch. Everyone I've shared this with, which is probably a dozen people, including you until now, reading it for the first time. You caught it. Way to go. See, you're a valuable member of this team, Rob.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sure everyone loved hearing me say that. Let's go.
All right. So the next one is Eye of the Storm. So this is supposed to be neutral again. So it's a result of 2 to 5. And neutral means that they have a 5+ ward save against any wounds suffered, and they may make regeneration saves against wounds caused by magical attacks, despite having the Warp Spawn special rule. Warp Spawn is the worst. Warp Spawn is basically applies the basically applies the magical attacks thing to regen, which basically voids the upside of taking Nurgle. But also it's baked into the Warriors of Chaos Demon Prince, which means I couldn't just delete it. And also randomly, for all you folks out there, Warp Spawn is used to key a couple of anti-demon runes in dwarfs. Dwarfs are the only army that I know of that has an anti-demon weapon or like special thing. Maybe in the comments hit me if there's something else that targets demonic or warp spawn. But warp spawn is what's used to key that. So I needed for them to keep warp spawn but lose the bad rule. And so that's how we sorted it. If it seems kind of ass backwards, that's why. Because there are some mechanics that need to still remain, and it's also a core rulebook rule. And
you don't want to affect other people's stuff as much as you could not, right?
Exactly. And I mean, how cool is it that for some reason dwarfs actually have an anti-demon mechanic? It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I imagine when that fellow was just copy and pasting this game together, he didn't really remember to fix that.
Or maybe demons were around longer than we thought. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I thought it was cool because the reason I'm also pointing that out is back in previously, there was a lot of anti-demon tech. Like there was the, Lore of Light was an entire, it was an entire magic lore. Essentially, that was anti-demonic. Everyone kind of had a weapon that was anti-demonic. So it wasn't all just keyed off of magical attacks, which is how they kind of tried to do it in Old World. Mm-hmm. It was built more into the game, but it's cool that there's even now still stuff that's anti-demon in the game. And so now here comes 6. This is Chaotic Surge. And also, by the way, on a 1 and a 6. So my goal here is that most games, one of these things will happen once, right? So like either the bad thing and the good thing, on average dice will happen once a game. So that feels like it's not too invasive and it's not going to like completely fuck up a game. It's ideally sort of a limited interference. Mm-hmm. However, I do want them to be meaningful turns if it's either Chaotic Ebb or Chaotic Surge. So here's Chaotic Surge because it is quite materially different. Until your next turn, so it's basically the same ward save, except they also now have a 4-up ward save against any wound suffered caused by non-magical enemy attacks. Which is just a boost to a ward save, but they don't always get it. You can still nullify it. Mm-hmm. And in addition, friendly demonic models gain the immune to psychology special rule, which is huge based on what I was just talking about with them, and generate a reality blinks result on a natural roll of 2 or 3 when making a leadership test for demonic instability. So what you're seeing here is actually, in fact, Chaotic Surge is not necessarily all upside. In fact,
it's not even that good. Like, I know that you are pandering a lot to like reactionary fuckwits, but like, it's not even that good. So
no. I'm actually trying to make the opposite point, which is that it's not supposed to be that good. It's not even supposed to necessarily be viewed as good or bad.
I'm just worried that you're having to do a lot of like, hey guys, it's fine. Like, it's fine.
I just want to explain because there's 2 things happening here. So obviously people are going to react emotionally. Well, maybe some people will be like, oh, 4-up ward, what the heck? So yeah, that's pretty good. But again, it turns off with magical attacks, so whatever. And it's also probably going to be 1 turn. But the bigger deal here is that because they're surging now and they have a great grip on the mortal plane, they lose they now are immune to psych. So they are all not blinking in and out of existence easily. You are not going to be rolling demonic instability as much. You cannot run from a fight. It can be, I'd say, this could be a real problem in certain circumstances. So I'm also open to this being a bad idea to insert immune to psych here. But I did also feel like it was a way to call back to the history of them being immune to psychology. So that when they're on Chaotic Surge, they're at their max potential, and they aren't blinking in and out, etc. So that's why we went there.
Yeah, I think it's good. Do you have later on? Do you have abilities that trigger off Ebb, either Storm and Surge, or no?
Actually, I don't. Those are the things that are affected by this. I wanted to keep it something that was relatively simple enough to keep in your brain and meaningful enough that you remember to roll it, basically.
Yeah,
that was it. And then the other thing too about being immune to psych there is that although reality blinks happens now more frequently. By the way, going from going to a 2 or 3 or an 11 or 12 gets it from I think 4% to 8% chance. So it's not big, but it can happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then anyway, the thing is that if you're immune to psych, you're actually going to be rolling your instabilities less. So it's really reality blinks only really would come up again in the combat phase at that point. So it kind of reduces the buff to reality blinks.
This reads great to me, buddy. Like, I wouldn't stress like any. I think you would have to work really hard and bend over backwards to be reactionary about this. Like, it's good. It's good. Like, I feel like I'm playing against demons. It reads right. Like, there's a bit of a change. I like the surge. I like the idea that maybe Khorne units get a little bit more fight if there's a surge. Nurgle units become a little bit more hardy if there's a surge. Like, ultimately, we have to remember that a lot of the books that are out from Games Workshop and Old World is, again, minimal viable products. Like please don't come into the comments try to defending what I think is at best lackluster rules writing. Like, at best, which is on the shoulders of 30 years of rules writing. Like, I like that you've gone through a bunch of stuff here. That's great. And it's quite clear that you've taken inspiration from those places. But Old World in its current form is not particularly like a den of imagination and quality. And this stands up, I think, beyond it, and is very good. So nice writing. It reads well. Nice and good.
Thank you, Rob. That's really kind. I don't need to. I mean, I'm saddened by some things about Old World, but also we know it's like 1 or 2 people. So
Barely
I'm one guy. I'm one guy too, but I also get to work with an army of people, and they don't have, thanks probably to leadership, that benefit. And I don't want to slag on the creatives.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the work. Just talking about the work,
fair.
not the people.
Yeah.
Just the work, not the people. They're divorced from each other.
Yes, and the work is the quality of the work is always a result of the resources that were put into it. And
correct. 100%.
Time allowed, and yes, so that is the reason why we are hypercritical. It's not the people writing; it's the people letting them write or assigning them time to write. Anyway,
this is nice. This is nice. This reads nicely.
Thank you, and folks, let me know how this plays in your mind's eye, because I'm not going to lie to you. It might be the sulfur burning in this room due to the pits of hell behind me, or it might just be that I am so into the smell of my own farts right now. I'm pretty much high. So
my response also might be the fact it's taken us 2 minutes to get to the army rule. So
yes, and I appreciate that, and I'll be motoring. Things won't be.
No. I'm just saying. Like, I like the justification. I like hearing the story. It's something that you, not you, but I miss. Like, when I went to work at Workshop and I was interviewing people, I wanted to hear the why. I wanted to hear the reasoning. I want to know why. Why is there some insane obsession with low linear obstacles in the Old World rules department?
I'd love to know.
But yet they just, what is there, like a stone wall on the walk to work that perplexes them? Like, is there just something that like drives them mental about a fence not in order? I don't know. So like, hearing the reasoning is really valuable, and I've enjoyed listening. So you take as long as you like. I got all night. I ain't got shit all to do. So you keep going.
Well, I appreciate that. So let's motor along here. So next up, I think another very important rule to get rejigged here is Demonic Locus. So if I'm recalling correctly, basically all it did before was if you were within 12 of it, you got to reduce your instability roll by 1. And you could ignore a banished result. Oh, wait a minute, it's right there. Friendly demonic units reduce the number of wounds suffered due to the demonic instability by 1 whilst in 12 inches of this model. And I think there was a rule about banished as well that I forgot to leave on the page. But anyway, so that was all it did. But now I'm giving it sort of, but not really, the undead version of rerolls to leadership, because this one is simply friendly demonic units within the battle standard bearer's command range may reroll any demonic instability tests. However, they may never reroll a banished result. So there you go. So that's, I think, a better way to do the undead BSB, which is to tie it to its mechanic. Although they don't roll on their break test, so you can't really do that. They wound up with a leadership result. This lets you re-roll everything but the worst possible result. And the reason why, guys, is actually very, very important, which is if you could re-roll a banished result, that means you're always re-rolling your banished result, which means banished never happens, and you're doubling the chance of demonic surge happening. So this is what happened in 8th edition when you had BSBs that could re-roll all leadership checks, is that basically you could always make sure the bad thing never happened and the good thing only good happened. And that's I don't know, kind of boring. So this gives you a good tool, and you're also going to find out about the Exalted Demonic Locus in a little bit, and it might make you poop your pants a bit.
Ooh.
Demonic Charge, blank X. This Demonic Charge was a rule I stole from the Bloodthirster. Basically gave him AP of 2 on his impact hits, and there was a rule in Renegades where I gave Slaanesh -1 on their impact hits, and I said, hey, what if I took this and made it one of those X rules, and then I could have Slaanesh on -1, and we can have Khorne with -2? That'd be sick. So that's what I did.
Love that.
Infernal Favor is basically Indomitable, but for demons, it's unchanged. One of the nice things about the way the demons were written is that they didn't go crazy with Indomitable, so that is nice. So if you kill a bunch of demons, maybe the demons get to not die a little bit, but for the most part, they're dying. Cleaving Blow is Cleaving Blow. No idea how this didn't wind up a core rule, but it didn't. And then finally, we have a new rule, Rob. And by that, I mean, it's a mechanic that you find all over the place, but I called it Singular Essence. And I even wrote a flavor text. So here we go. Smell these farts.
I can see
Violently bound to a solitary cosmic truth, these entities remain completely insulated from the etheric shockwaves of the battlefield. So basically, Singular Essence is what I gave all the greater demons, because I realized all this cool namby-pamby phasing in and out stuff is neat, but it would be kind of dumb if a greater demon was phased out by some lesser demons panicking next to them. So this character automatically passes any panic test that they are required to make, is what Singular Essence does.
Okay.
Which
means there's less. Does that also mean there's less opportunity? There's less opportunity, obviously, for me to roll the bad result, but also less opportunity for me to roll the good result as well and heal, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. On the big guys, that is true.
I can't. Because you can't accidentally proc a panic check on the demon that you nearly killed, and all of a sudden he's got loads of wounds back. You're like, oh, brilliant.
Yeah, true. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good though, because it's on the flip side. There's a version where he then just dies. He just melts.
Dies. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
so
or loses a bunch of wounds and is almost dead. I guess hit me in the comments. To me it just felt based on, again, this is based on very specific headcanon of what a demon panicking actually means. It just felt to me like it's basically like a disturbance in the force, right? So it felt to me that little demons wouldn't disturb the force enough to bother a greater demon. That was basically all it was.
Makes sense.
However, there is some cool stuff now that we're getting into demonic alignment. Are you with me still, Rob? Are you ready?
I'm pumped. My gas is expensive, but going.
Expensive gas. That's natural gas was my dad's CB name when he was a trucker.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Coming in natural gas. I got 10-4. Nice.
HB, RIP. Let's go. Demons of Khorne. So demonic alignment, basically here, for those of you who don't know, all demons in the list, almost all demons in this list have to have a demonic alignment. So the rules are a model cannot have more than one demonic alignment. All models within a unit must have the same demonic alignment. A character with a demonic alignment can only join a unit with the same demonic alignment or with no demonic alignment. A character with no demonic alignment can join any unit as normal. So there you go. So that's how that all interacts. So here's how we give now flavor to the individual gods and also work in some wrinkles on the base effects of being a demon. All right. So originally, you can see the original text on all of these. There wasn't as much. So first and foremost, we'll start with Khorne. Demons of Khorne have the hatred, Demons of Slaanesh, and Mark of Slaanesh. So they also hate Warriors of Chaos. Slaanesh is something I added to this. And a model with the, Demons of Khorne have the hatred, Demons of Slaanesh, Mark of Slaanesh, and a model with the Demon of Slaanesh special rule is never considered to be a friendly model by a model with the Demons of Khorne special rule for the purposes of casting spells, the Inspiring Presence special rule, or any Demonic Locust special rule.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they do not mix.
Good. They literally shouldn't. And anyone arguing that they should, it's literally counterintuitive to the story. They literally hate each other. They literally are at constant eternal war. And you're like, why aren't they friendly? The story says they're not friendly.
because they hate each other. So just as a general point here, this is so basically now you have full interaction between 3 of the gods in any given army, and then anyone who can handle themselves on their own can also be in the army, obviously. But I thought that was very flavorful because this is generally a buff. So the so like a demonic locus or the inspiring, so the demonic locus and its ability to reroll things would not affect Slaanesh demons if you had a Nurgle demon next to them. Did I just pick the absolute worst one? No, I didn't. All right. Whereas now it does. So now you have more interaction between gods, but there's one that they just don't interact with at all. That includes Inspiring Presence. And then and also I don't know, I thought it was flavorful. Originally I had this written that they counted as uneasy allies, essentially, but someone pointed out to me it's probably easier just to say what they don't get to do, because they already can't really mix and match thanks to the rules around demonic alignment. So Demons of Khorne, what do they get? Demons of Khorne have the Furious Charge and, damn it, immune to psychology already. Special rules. So just added, I think it makes sense. Demons of Khorne, even if all sorts of demons are phasing out, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. These guys are there for things to go down. So I think it does make thematic, flavorful sense for Demons of Khorne to have immune to psychology. I think that is important. They aren't going to think of a more tactful way to fight you. They're going to fight you, and that's sick.
Can I intercede here at one point?
Yeah,
I do think one of the things, because like Khorne's always given like the competency of martial prowess, and yet it's like as a kind of like the way it's written in the
maybe
stories.
Too much of orcs. Maybe I'm thinking more. Maybe I'm giving.
No.
Orcs.
I think that's correct. No, my point is like in any publication, I read lots of different game systems rules all the time, especially from Games Workshop, and like they're always just written as slavering beasts that want to war and fight, but never given like any credibility as to being martial and tactical and sensible. They're not. Does that make sense? Like Angron, yes. The pain is in my head. I'm a barbarian versus a fighter. Right. Would be like a D&D classification difference, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, I always found that to be interesting because the others sometimes Slaanesh, I always feel like they never really knew what to do with in any game system. When you read Slaanesh stuff, they're like, I don't fucking know. They're like fast, maybe sexy isn't a rule. I don't know.
How does one be sexy?
How does a question for the ages? You're obviously passing, as is the people watching. Well done, everybody. Okay. Anyway, yeah, immune psychology is great. It makes sense. So, they want to stand there and have a fight.
Yes, and immune to psych felt appropriate to me, vibesy for Khorne, and I hope others agree. But they get stuff in exchange, so they also get Furious Charge. What was cool about Khorne in this version? Like I think Khorne in Warriors of Chaos, they get Frenzy, right?
Yeah, they get Frenzy,
and we all know that Frenzy isn't the best. And in this, they have Impetuous, not Frenzy. And however, they didn't have anything that really keyed off of that. They didn't have the upside of Frenzy, even though they had sort of a more manageable version of it. So I think Impetuous plus Furious Charge is a nice combo that gets you sort of old school, but also permanent Frenzy, which is great. And then in addition, this is the same rule that they've had since 8th edition. In addition, during a turn in which you made a charge move, a Demon of Khorne gains +1 to its strength characteristic. So there you have it. That's Demons of Khorne. So Demons of Nurgle up next. So they have the exact same thing, except they don't like Tzeentch. And then the only difference between them and the main the Legacy PDF version of Nurgle is that they cannot choose to flee as a charge reaction. So I thought it was like Grandpapa Nurgle loves all the creatures of his garden. So them getting ripped out of real space is gonna be, or the material realm is gonna cause some issues, I think. So I thought they shouldn't be immune to panic. But I do also view them as a faction that is trying to get closer to the opponents so that they can give them a big hug, so they can rub some pustules on them. Maybe share some used blankets, that kind of stuff. So I thought, again, modifying instability so that they cannot flee gives them a little bit of flavor, but they still do panic. Now we get over to Demons of Slaanesh. So the demons that they don't like, obviously, is Khorne, because they don't have style or panache. And in addition, any enemy model that shoots at a Demon of Slaanesh suffers an additional -1 to hit modifier. I might change that just so that it says targets in the shooting phase, because I think that's a better way to say it, and it's how it's worded in other places sometimes. But basically, just a -1 to be hit penalty, and only against ballistics shooting. And then Demons of Slaanesh increase their maximum possible change range by 1 and have a +1 modifier to the result of any charge, pursuit, or flee roll that they make, which is the same as they had, but now they also do it with flee. And I think I forgot to say with Nurgle what they did, so sorry, but they reroll any. So when they are in the combat phase, opponents must reroll any rolls to hit of a natural 6. If I didn't say that.
I would potentially add, like, because we all know ballistic skill shooting is dog shit in the game. Like, pretty much. There are some examples where they are not, but generally it's pretty crap. I would be tempted to maybe also reduce down like -1 to the casting roll of a magic missile as well, something like that, instead of just like, because that is really the shooting phase bar cannons in the game.
Yes.
So I'd be tempted by that, because you also if you got the good result, you still get your ward save, right? But in some cases, you're not going to get your ward save against those unless you get the 6. I don't know. Maybe. It's just magic missile feels like it's really the shooting phase in the game. That's how it feels.
100% true. Something I really thought about was evasive for these guys. So that might be something worth looking at a unit level. I did give evasive in one very special place, but I think evasive in general in Demons of Slaanesh might be good. The thing is if you like right now, they're already way more slippery than they've ever been in their entire history because they can flee. And they also auto rally into that flee. So they've already got feigned flight. So this is the first of the demon factions that can actually flee a charge reaction, right? Is Slaanesh. So doing feigned flight for them might be good for a similar reason as to what we're going to see in Tzeentch. So I'll show you what we did with Tzeentch. Again, they have a bit of a nuance to the psychology rules. So obviously Tzeentch doesn't like Nurgle so much. Because Nurgle's all about that status quo. And then in addition, a Demon of Tzeentch may always choose to fail a panic test that they are required to make without rolling for demonic instability, even if they would otherwise automatically pass it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I thought that is basically just, again, that is a
just as planned. And every Tzeentch player can just constantly say that until we refuse to play against them again.
So yeah, they can decide that they want to be somewhere else
just
in
anticipation.
Just as planned. And then they keep their +1 to casting rolls for wizards. And then I killed that note there because it's been clarified that you can't re-roll a natural double 1 to get out of a miscast. That's one of the original FAQs. So on Demons of Tzeentch, they get the ability to just automatically pass without basically risking instability. That's why the rule's written that way. Is that that way they can just do it without risking losing models. So maybe an argument to be said that Demons of Slaanesh should have feigned flight, because the way I see them actually is that they're like a blur on the battlefield. That they're zipping around, and that they are just very, they're sort of like very fluid and mesmerizing, and you think you have them and then that you don't. So that feels like either evasive or feigned flight might be a good thing to have. The issue is if you overcook that and there is potential. I can't wait to hear what people say how this feels in on the table. But there's potential that this is already too slippery, right? So that's what I really want to hear from the real world. The good news about Demons of Slaanesh is they are delicate little glass pieces, right? Like even the Keeper of Secrets has maintained that. So, if you do come to grips with them, if you are able to, shoot them or whatever, they're going to get hurt. And that's sort of the trade-off. But if they have enough of the actual truly like good movement stuff, then they can use that defensively, which is kind of the magic. It's kind of like a holy grail of Warhammer, where you have I think there's been a lot of units in the past that have been designed to be like their defense is speed, but in the end they don't really have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It either works or it doesn't work in many cases, for sure. By the way, because they have like a lot of like pincers and crab claws.
Yeah.
I would have added a rule that like when moving sideways, they can just move their full movement versus half. But that's why I shouldn't be doing this, because they're like little crabs, right? It's like
if they actually had sideways hips,
yeah,
I would have added that in a heartbeat, because that's sick.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also not sick and it's dumb.
But actually, that is a design thing that I've never seen used once, which is not suffering a movement penalty for doing a maneuver.
Yeah, this is what I meant earlier. Like, I feel like my earlier criticism maybe comes off as harsh, but I read through lots of rule books almost on a daily basis. This is my second time today reading through a compendium of rules. Today.
Yes.
Today.
Well, I might say that you were an actual critic of game mechanics and rules.
Maybe, but also importantly, the design space for many games is left very, very open. And this is actually really fun if you're playing at home or playing with your friends. There's lots of scope to add. But there's also, and I think intentionally, it's left because they go, well, we'll maybe have a look at that in another edition. Or like, it's very much like don't blow your load. They're just like, well, yeah, that sounds cool, but like we don't need to add anything extra this year or this iteration or this book or whatever it might be. And sometimes actually, because they do normally create in very small, secretive teams, they don't have the 10, 20,000 people that might watch this video, as well as the people we know personally, to input until in post. So like the iteration is very slow, if they're even paying any attention to it at all. So like design mechanics for games, it's true for many game studios. So don't worry about it. Just saying.
It's true for many game studios, but also, again, one of the cool things about doing these deep dives is reading past stuff. And I can't remember who wrote it, but there was a foreword to one of it was the Hordes of Chaos book, and I think it was Gav Thorpe, and it was the intro to. Awesome, love to hear that. And the intro to it basically talked about how the entire studio worked on this book. How they all got together, probably got wasted, and were hashing out what does it mean to be, what does an army of chaos look like, right? Because Hordes of Chaos was I think the first Warriors of Chaos / Demons book that came out for 6th, right? So this is after this big reorganization, big reboot. What is their identity in the future of Warhammer Fantasy Battles? And just the way that he described sort of an all hands on deck approach to writing and putting together that book. You could kind of feel it in the pages and like how cool it was and how evocative a lot of stuff was. And that you maybe don't feel in other ones because of what you said. Like maybe folks are more siloed and there's less collaboration. We know there's just less people for our old world writers to work with. And so, being able to collaborate is such an important thing, because it's like, even in the course of this conversation so far, we've spotted things or we've, identified where a vibe is or isn't. So anyway, there was a stark contrast between the amount of investment and time and attention in the old stuff versus the new stuff is, I guess, what I was trying to say.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so I think that wraps us up for basically all the special rules, the army list. How are we feeling? Rob?
Feeling good. I feel like these the effects of the demonic alignments are okay, not super impactful, but then there's much more fleshed out like sheets, like unit entries in Old World than in other game systems. So you don't need quite as many compounding additional abilities on top, because there's a lot of rules in Old World which can extrapolate out ideas, right? So that's okay.
Correct. And each unit has its own sort of Build-A-Bear opportunity.
Exactly.
And like you can see, certainly from my instincts, Demons of Khorne needed a lot more gas than, Demon of Nurgle or Demon of Tzeentch, as far as a baseline rule set is concerned. Our Demons of Slaanesh and Demons of Khorne kind of both have archetypes that they right now, as they're written before this, they couldn't do their vibe, and probably never really have truly been able to, maybe except for 7th. But anyway, demonic gifts and icons. So here's something. Demons of Chaos don't have access to common magic items. They are like dwarfs like that. And this is not an always thing. So this has been something that in 8th edition, they had access to certain common magic items and magic standards. And 7th, they did not. And 6th, they did not. So it's not an always, but also I felt like dwarf players would hunt me down and banish me to these very fires of hell if I were to give them access to common magic items. So my goal was, again, to carefully try to curate or improve some things to give essential abilities to the army. So I think that's important. So things that like they really, really needed. And also flavorful things to the army that I think, again, fit the vibe and what they could do before. Stuff that some of this comes from the core game. So like stuff from the common magic items. Some of this comes from previous versions of Demons. So it does pull from different places. And then there's a lot of points adjustments. So let's just get going. The Ether Blade dropped it to 50 points. So it can be taken by a Herald and not just a Greater Demon. Winged Horror upped it to 50 points, but also expanded it to infantry rather than regular infantry. And that allows the model to gain the fly and swift stride special rules. And I swear I had made that infantry or cavalry. I don't know where the cavalry part went, or if I maybe questioned that. I'm going to flag this. Anyway, I kind of wanted to give the opportunity here for it to be cavalry as well. One thing that you want to keep in mind, especially as we get into chaotic icons, is that there are no large target mounts anywhere that I know of, and maybe keep an eye out in case I missed it in the demonic situation. So like what you could hop on, especially with if you had the ability to make something fly and have swift stride in these options. Maybe a flying swift stride. Maybe a flying Juggernaut would be a lot. I don't know. But anyway, maybe revise that, because I was thinking of adding cavalry to that. And then going down to many arms, pardon me. This was 55 points for 1 extra attack. That seemed a lot. And I believe there are basically common magic items that work out to be about 20 points per attack or 25 points per attack. Yes, this is balanced by the fact that the greater demons themselves already have access to basically magical weapons on their profiles. But having access to juicing the attacks of these guys has been something they could always do. 30 points, you can slap that onto a Herald, and they get up to 4 attacks. I think that's pretty dope. Or you could add 3 attacks to a greater demon. Maybe this does need to go up, or maybe, you can only go 2, because I limited it to 0 to 2 per model. There it is. So yeah, you could add 2 attacks to your Bloodthirster for 60 points. Okay, let's see if that matters. Chromatic Tome, this is a big one. So Chromatic Tome was lifted from Twin Heads, I think, was the original one. It was a demonic gift that was linked to Tzeentch only. So these are also the ones I'm going over right now are chaotic gifts. These are basically the undivided ones. So anyone can use these ones. One key point of not having access to common magic items, and this was a problem in 8th edition too, if I'm not mistaken, but they don't have access to the equivalent of lore familiar, which means they can't guarantee which spells they get. So I didn't give that to, we'll see how we address that later on, and I didn't give it to the army wide, but what I did say was they could have the Chromatic Tome, for 20 points. So 5 points more than a spell familiar. And this just allows you to have one extra spell than you normally would know. That means that you're rolling so basically you get 5 out of the 6 spells out of a given lore. Most of the time you're getting the ones that you want. Sometimes you're not. Feels like chaos to me. Felt like a nice little sweet spot there. Next, chaotic icons. All right, so the Exalted Locus is 60 points, demonic locus only. The Herald special rule, Locus of Wrath, Locus of Fecundity, Locus of Swiftness, or Locus of Change, affects all friendly units in command range with the same demonic alignment. So we're going to find out what those things are. But for those of you who are Demons fans going back, you might recall that in previous games, the Locus often had an ability that they could either buy or was baked in. And so this is extending that ability beyond the unit that they're in or themselves to command range. Again, important to remember, there is no large target mount. So this is always going to be a 12-inch bubble. It's expensive, but I think it's badass. So hopefully people don't get really mad at me for it. I think it's dope and a good way to encourage monofactions.
Yeah. Everything should be gearing you to want to run monofactions, or at least many similar units, I think.
Yes. And then I think it's also important to remember that it is important that the Locus abilities are good, right? Because, and we'll see as we get there, I won't apologize for them. Dropped a banner of Unholy Victory down to 50 points. This allows it to be taken on a unit. When calculating its combat result, the unit carrying the banner of Unholy Victory may claim an additional bonus of D3 combat result points. Awesome. So that also helps with demonic instability too. Totem of Eternal War is the same. Standard of Chaotic Glory. This one, I forgot to keep the old wording on it. I can't remember what it did. I think it was sort of a duplicate of something. But anyway, models within a unit carrying the Standard of Chaotic Glory improve their leadership characteristic by 1. So it's the old, what was that in 8th edition? What was the old +1 leadership one? Anyway, it's a cool one. And for 15 points, who cares? Helps with demonic instability and other stuff that leadership is good for.
All right, good. I think it's a good list.
All right, here we are with Gifts of Khorne. Some cool stuff in here that I think are important. So 1 Spell Eater, bumping him up to a level 3 wizard, essentially gives him the same effect as it was before, because it allows them to dispel previously as a level 2 wizard. This allows a Khorne demon to dispel as a level 3 wizard, which would now be the same as before. It would be a +2 to dispel. Same amount of points, might be more expensive than anyone would want to spend on it still. Let me know in the comments. Next one is very, very important. Armor of Khorne for Heralds and for even the Bloodthirster. This just gives you the Armor of Khorne gives us where an armor value of 3+, which cannot be improved in any way. So that is a useful item, especially for the Bloodthirster.
That's great.
25 points, or a Herald in certain scenarios might want to have that, and they can afford it. Axe of Khorne increased its AP. It has Killing Blow, requires 2 hands. 25 points is also, I think, a significant reduction in how much it costs, and it's common, so you can give it to, you'll notice, like you'll be able to give this to champions if you wanted. 25 points, I think, is a lot for this axe. Maybe it should be less. The Skull Totem, 50 points. You're going to recognize this one as the Totem of Wrath from that came out with the Raising of the Westerland, additional common magic items. During a turn in which a charged models within a unit carrying the Skull Totem improve the armor piercing characteristic of their weapon by 1, and may reroll any rolls to wound of a natural 1. I thought this was a fantastic compliment to the base rules of Khorne, and it's super dope. And that needed to change because the Skull Totem previously gave Furious Charge, which now all Khorne demons get. That's it. That's the updates to the Gifts of Khorne. How's that feel?
Yeah, feels good. Feels good. I like being able to give an axe out. It's quite different to the blades normally knocking around. Yeah, and the armor save on big. One of the problems I have often with like frontline melee characters is survivability. Like sustain is really important, and many times people are like, this will kill something. Like, well, it will also movement. Right, movement and sustainability are key factors in making like an actual frontline character, often which both get ignored. So that's good.
Yes, and especially foot ones. Yeah, frontline, literally in the front line of a unit. Yeah, for sure. And then let's keep going.
Okay, good.
Gifts of Nurgle. So in general, I feel like Nurgle is one of those things that just, by definition of what they are, they're pretty good. Like as far as like a tabletop gaming piece is concerned, because they're tough.
I feel it's like the easiest one to write rules for. Khorne and Nurgle. That's why they've been the most represented, I think, because they inspire the most like rules writing.
Sure, but unlike Khorne, Nurgle's usually good. Like,
True.
Often, especially in fantasy, I think they've always been afraid to give Khorne too many rules, even though they should have like all the attacks and like all the anyway. But Nurgle, on the other hand, often is quite tanky, and that's kind of, I guess, their main vibe. 8th edition, they had just a straight -1 to be hit in combat, which I didn't really get. I guess it's often been that's sort of like the stinky gross effect that they use a lot of the time. Like Slimy Shanks, I know, is on the Troll Princess. And so yeah, so for whatever reason they didn't do that in this one. They went with the rerolls of 6, and I figured keep it, who cares? So Gifts of Nurgle, really the only change would be Trappings of Nurgle, dropping its points cost to 25, allows you to have a 4-up armor save, and also be a wizard, which is important. So that again, so that can get your good units to a 4-up, 5-up, 5-up, which is not bad.
No.
But it's not exactly maxing out defense. It's close to it though. So so they definitely have the tankiest upside in Nurgle. I've put the icon of Eternal Virulence in here under yellow at 50 points because I wanted to bookmark that one as something to potentially come back and do anything with. I think we could just delete that rule and put in something way cooler. I am open to suggestions either from the past or from the common banners. I think either would work for me. Standard of Seeping Decay is the same rotten icon. This is expanding it, making it cheaper, and expanding it to the same rules that the Beasts of Nurgle have, which is basically you can't get bonuses for flanking or attacking the rear of the unit. Rotten icon, for some reason, used to be just the rear. So that's kind of a Nurgle-y thing. On to Gifts of Slaanesh. I think there's some fun ones in here. Slaanesh and Tzeentch are both, I think, I'm nervous about, but they're fun. So we'll go with Infernal Enrapturous at 50 points. So opening it up so it's not just infantry heralds. And this one is just whilst within this character's command range, friendly demons of Slaanesh that are also wizards may apply a +1 modifier to any casting roll that they make, which includes itself, which maybe I'm dumb, but it seemed a bit mean to not also give itself +1 to cast. So tell me in the comments if there was a reason why. And whilst within this character's command range, enemy wizards suffer a -1 to any casting roll that they make. So not bad, and maybe a little more useful now.
Yeah, it's good.
Siren Song, I think it has the opportunity of being super fun. So this one was hamstrung by some pretty rough requirements. And I've added one condition. I worked with Os on this one. And removed a big one. So single use. At the start of your opponent's declare charge and charge reaction subphase, nominate a single enemy unit that is able to declare a charge against this model or its unit within 6 inches. So it's got to be close. That enemy unit must declare a charge against this model or its unit.
Okay. Yeah, 6 inches is fine. That's fine.
Yes. So the danger with this one, if it, and this is what trying to balance the right one on this, is if you make it too far, so say it's 12 inches, and now we're allowed to sort of flee that reaction, you can just really pooch a unit and like just pull it way out of position and suffer no consequence. Here, at least there's a chance that they catch you, depending on what's running away. Anyway, I thought it was cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
We'll see if maybe it could be. I think my original one was 12 inches. 6 inches, I believe, is also the sacred number of Slaanesh, is it not?
Correct.
So there you go. That's why it's that simple as that. Enrapturing Gaze is just enemy units instead of models now. Engage in combat with this model cannot use the Inspiring Presence special rule of their general. I have no idea how that was supposed to work if it was models and not units, because anyway, Icons of Slaanesh, Banner of Acquiescence, 50 points. So that just allows it to be taken by a unit rather than only a herald. And then a single enemy unit engage in combat with the bearer of the Banner of Acquiescence suffers -D3 modifier to its weapon skill and initiative characteristics. So it's basically a in combat itchy nuisance for 50 points. Pretty dope. And then we have the icon of the Eternal Dance. So this is I took inspiration from the mask to give them the.
So you're gonna say footloose, but good.
Footloose. No, I gave them the Monster Hunter's Tapestry. I thought Slaanesh could use it the most. They are the nakedest, lowest toughnessest, least ability to deal damage-ish, and probably suffer the most against stuff with a lot of stomps. So they have the no stompies banner, and drop the points on the Siren Standard because it's pretty darn conditional, but kind of fun.
My Iron Demon is sad, but it's also good to have some no stomp somewhere, just because of how just hyper efficient those units are.
Is it Iron Demon impact hits mostly though? I guess it's both. Yeah, it's both.
Yeah. And that impact hit isn't super easy to get. But yes, you're right. But there's also stomps. It's both. It's a lot worse now if you charge me and I get 0 stomps, let me tell you. Which is good, though. Just pointing that out.
And it's 1 unit. All right.
Yeah.
And you're probably running into it in every other opponent's army you're playing against anyway, so why not the random person who brings Slaanesh?
Yes, correct. It's already on the Monster Hunter's Tapestry in every army, so it's not a big deal.
So Will of Tzeentch, this is the classic Tzeentch ability to re-roll a dice. In previous versions of the game, this was any dice. So you could re-roll an opponent's dice, you could re-roll like stuff that had nothing to do with the model that had the rule. This is just things to do with the model from what I can infer from it. And it's a lot similar. It's very similar to a Bretonnian item that was 25 points. It was locked to 4 different things. I guess this could also be used for casting. However, that 25 point version of it, this one was 55, maybe 60 points. So it's significantly cheaper, but more expensive than the Bretonnian version of it because it's a bit more flexible. But it's once per round, so that's my turn and your turn. I feel like 35 points for this is fine. Tell me in the comments. Iridescent Corona, kind of hard to tell. What I did there was I removed the common restriction to that. And that's basically because I wanted this to apply to the unit that the model is joined and didn't want it to be stacked infinitely. That was actually not me who wanted that. That was Os, who told me about that last night. Twin Heads, 30 points. Lord of Change only. Here we go, Twin Heads. This is the new version, everybody. Buckle up. This model knows spells from 2 lores of magic rather than the usual 1. When determining the spells the wizard knows, you must roll for each lore separately. Duplicate spells are re-rolled as normal. The wizard may discard 1 randomly generated spell as normal, replacing it with the signature spell of the same lore of magic, or a spell from the lore of demons with the same demonic alignment. Goal here is that they can pick from 2 different things. You'll recognize this as a common item no one ever uses, because you can't stack it with lore familiar. Stay tuned. Icons of Tzeentch, Banner of Discord, a unit, sorry, just lower 50 points again, so it can be used in the unit. And it's a really good, this one maybe is too cheap. Maybe it should be a Herald only type thing. But it would only, anyway, Banner of Discord is pretty good. It's Magic Res 3 for 50 points, and then a bubble of -1. Maybe that is too cheap. Icon of Sorcery, 20 points.
It's not. No, it's not. You
don't think so?
No. Like, because it's rare. Like, maybe I'm going to take it, but what if I just have no magic that I'm trying to do on at you? All of a sudden, you've wasted 50 points. I don't think. Yeah. I think it's fine.
I mean, it's not free, but
no,
you know,
it's one unit that's going to have it. So,
well, it's got a little baby bubble there too. Yeah, and the bubble's only 6 inches.
Ooh, MR1. Ooh.
Yeah, all right. So Banner of Icon of Sorcery. So Icon of Sorcery used to work with pink horrors. People used it to get +4 to cast Demonic Mutation. Or I might have had the name of it wrong, but basically a very good hex spell that they have in the lore of demons. And I've changed how pink horrors work, but added this in. And this one is maybe, I don't know, we'll see what people think. So pink horrors only. When you're carrying the Icon of Sorcery, cast Pink Fire from the lore of demons. The strength of these hits are increased by +1, and their armor piercing characteristic is improved by -1 for each point of the casting unit's current rank bonus. So that means that they can be +2. If you know Pink Fire, it is a useless spell right now. It is strength 3, no AP, D3 +3 hits. So this lets it get to strength 5, AP 2, kind of cool, on a very expensive unit of pink horrors that can also be core, but you know. Anyway, that's the Icon of Sorcery. I am very curious to know if anyone uses it. I think it's kind of neat.
I think it's neat. I think it's neat, especially people who come in from Total War. Total War, you're just able to throw gallons of pink fire from pink and blue horrors, right? So that's interesting as well.
The original way I had this actually was that this was part of the pink fire rule, but maybe a very good spammable magic missile unit people wouldn't like, but it's so expensive. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. This is definitely the safe choice. It's a 20-point upgrade for any unit of horrors, essentially. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. There's already going to be some controversial choices on this next page in the lore of demons.
Oh, here we go.
Look at who's here. One of the things that has always made me upset is how good blue fire is in Warriors of Chaos. Available to Mark of Tzeentch. It is a 18-inch range, 9 up to cast magic missile, and the target unit suffers D6 plus 3 strength 4 hits with an AP of -2 and flaming attacks.
Just before anyone loses their mind, having spent nearly a year playing a Tzeentch Castle bunker and trying their hardest to shoot 4 of these at a dragon every turn, I might as well just have had pillows on my hands. So you should all relax.
Fair enough.
Garbage.
So
anyway, it's a good spell. It's a good spell.
It is a good spell, and so the way I've tried to set things up is that this is available to. So this isn't available to pink horror units, so this is for characters. So this is for your Lord of Change. This is for your Heralds and for your Exalted Burning Chariots and your Exalted Flamers. So you could get a lot of this in your army, and maybe we do need to find ways of making sure that there's not too much of it. Maybe, I don't know. You'll know Warriors of Chaos and how much potential there is to face, like how many you would reasonably get into a Warriors of Chaos army. But it might be right now that there's too much blue fire ability available to people in Tzeentch demons here. So I am open to dialing it back if need be. But I do like where pink fire wound up, whether or not it's activated by the ability. The last one is Gift of Mutation, which in the 1.5 rules, I dropped it down to 7/10, largely because demons were so garbage. But it is a very good ability. It is used a lot. Tzeentch will have more ways of getting around the table to cast this. So I think upping it a notch to an 8+/11+ is more than fair. Also, it's easy enough to be getting this off on like an 8. So it would be a 6 and an 8. So yeah, I think that's probably a better place for it to sit. Finally, we're almost actually going to talk about a unit. We got the Demonic Armory. This was adding one pip of AP to the Plague Sword because they were the only ones who didn't have any AP. And also on the Lamprey's Bite, removing the requirement for its multiple wounds D3 being applied only to monsters. And then finally, it's kind of hard to notice, but restoring Warp Flame to D6 shots the way it once was, and actually once always was. I think it was D6 every single time it appeared until we got to Old World. So it's D6 shots back again. They're still every bit as expensive. And in general, you're going to notice that this will not have as many points reductions in these lists as other armies have had. This is more focused on quality rather than quantity. So Bloodthirster.
Our first unit.
All right, everybody. Let's stretch it out for Khorne. We're going to stretch it out. Get your demon trident out. We're going to stretch it out. We're going to dive in. We're going to try and rattle through these as fast as humanly possible. Got it? All right. Bloodthirster. Most importantly, he comes now for 355 points. He comes with the Lash of Khorne. Used to be a 15-point upgrade. And he has Demonic Flesh, a rule I lifted from another spot, and I've changed it to be full plate. So he is now a 4-up, 5-up base with his Lash of Khorne, which grants an extra attack now as well. This is because the default Bloodthirster has an X, and he's got a whip. That's what he has, generally speaking, had in his hands. And then you could upgrade that to a blood flail, which we added the crappy new flail rules to. And then, or the great axe for 35 points, which I gave killing blow as well as monster slayer, because I'm always so mad when something is monster slayer but not killing blow. People might say, hey, that's too good. I don't know, is it? And if it is, maybe it needs to be more points. But yeah. And
can I discuss something which I see a lot in games, which I hate and loathe? So a thing that happens a lot in almost every game, and I'm sure many people who watch this already know this to be true, is oftentimes units that are not particularly good aren't given particularly good rules, and so their only quality effectively eventually becomes how cheap they are per wound, per body. You see this with lots of units already in Old World as well, right? Tar pits, but you see it in other game systems as well.
Yep. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. How much does it cost just for a wound? Yeah.
Yeah, a wound, a base to block a bit of board, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I would argue, and I would love to know what people's comments are on this, and I've argued many times, I genuinely believe that while there is a role for chaff and a role for screens and a role for those sorts of things, most people want quality rules for their units, and they be more expensive, also lessens the hobby load that's required to happen. And you start out that way versus they're just I call it the race to the bottom, right? It's like who can get the cheapest unit, who can get the cheapest model, especially when Games Workshop is balancing the games like 40k and AOS. They generally eventually start pushing everything down versus giving stuff better rules. And therefore what happens is you end up with just like, oh, someone was able to take too many of that thing, which happens multiple times. So I prefer to have stuff be better. And then if like, okay, needs to go up points, it needs to go up points, but I'd rather it be better. I think that's a good methodology.
Yeah, and I think the Bloodthirster was already good. People loved using him at 355. Now he's got he's better. He's got a better armor save. He's got a better default weapon. What I was talking about there is that maybe the Great Axe, because it's not a magical weapon, it maybe should be a demonic gift that does cost more than 35 points. So that's all I'm flagging. I'm flagging that the Great Axe of Khorne is dope as hell. That's what I'm flagging.
He looks killy.
He is killy. And you'll note, resisted the temptation to give him Swift Stride. So there's clearly to me like a real competing design between the Keeper of Secrets and the Bloodthirster. And you can see this battle in stats and abilities throughout the editions as they went on. It was really funny. And then for whatever reason, whoever wrote this just had a hard on for the Bloodthirster, and just like, winner, Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster got all the stats and was just way better than the Keeper. So yeah, but they are sort of their opponents, right? And they are sort of inversions of one another. So it'll be fun to go over her later. Or
my only one thought on the Demon of Khorne is, because you can generate a lot of attacks on this, right? With the items and stuff, you can you could potentially go up. Maybe it's that he does fewer strong attacks that are good. Like, I know he has Monster Slayer already, but maybe the goal is to kill the monsters in the game. That's what he's challenging. That's what he's there for. I can't imagine, because obviously once you get up to like 8 or 9 attacks, you're obviously fantastic into infantry. And that makes sense, but maybe a great Demon of Khorne wouldn't be chasing a unit of zombies, and he'd be straight after the dragon, because or whatever the large target is, because that's the biggest head on the field. That would be my only kind of like thing to think about with that unit specifically.
So like maybe the Great Axe makes half the amount of attacks.
Or something like that. Like, just because he starts with 6 attacks and he can generate quite a lot of attacks.
He can go to 8, and then he also has. So he would be right now, if you tune this guy up, he'd be 9 attacks.
Yeah, and obviously thematically, he should only ever be able to get to 8.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah. But that would be my only thoughts.
Well, if he would be base 8, and then he would be Furious Charge to get him at 9. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like thank you for the feedback on that guy. I think there's some fun there.
I mean, the Bloodthirster ultimately is meant to like literally ruin your life. That's the point.
Yes.
Right? Like that's like, he needs to be terrifying, and if he needs to be terrifying at 450 points or whatever, he should be terrifying. It would be much worse to have an uninteresting. It's like the Demon Prince, right? The Demon Prince does nothing. And you're like, okay, great.
So actually, right now with Lash of Khorne, I mean, this guy's nasty. So yeah, with Lash of Khorne, his default weapon, he's got an extra attack there too. So he'd be 7, and then he'd be 8 on the charge, and then he could get to 10 base attacks at weapon skill 10. I mean, that's pretty gnarly. You want to kill this guy. Also, by the way, 4-up save. I guess he could get to a 3-up save, but he doesn't have there's no triple save protection. He has no way to heal wounds, and he only has 6 of them. So he's not he's certainly vulnerable to things like cannonballs and other stuff. So I think that is the flip side of him. Very cool. I think maybe we'll see. I'm sure I will get an earful about how many attacks he should have access to. Yeah, that's it.
Listen, I'm going to go paint the Bloodthirster right now and start hunting dragons. That's my goal. Like, just with an arrow. That's what it is.
I mean, that many attacks with Monster Slayer, like that is just a bucket. Like, I mean, you have a good chance of hitting them, like at weapon skill 10. You know, like, so like you have, and like, although he is strike last, at least when he has the great axe, as opposed to Lash of Khorne, which gives him strike first. But I mean, even just there alone, like that's a bucket of hits. And then that's not even saying the and then you could have multiple. I don't know. There's some cool options here, man. That's good. So I think it's a good baseline. Is it too much? Do we need to dial back? Okay, maybe.
Or put the points up. Or put the points up.
You could put the points up, but yeah, but I'm fully kitted out. He's still going to be over. He's going to be pushing that 500-point limit for sure if you tune him up. And maybe that's the point. Maybe he needs to be pointed so that he is at that 500-point cap if you really want him to be a dead sexy dog. All right, going to the Herald Khorne, yeah? Have we already moved on? Okay, cool. Thanks for that, chat. So he is 80 points. He stayed the same. You're going to notice a thing called Brazen Scales. Counts as heavy armor because Khorne, I have upgraded their armor to heavy armor everywhere. They had light armor before. I think this is fair. By the way, demons in general, they do not have any shields at all whatsoever. Bupkis, they cannot use parry, so they are at a disadvantage big time from infantry survivability, and there's a lot of infantry. So yeah, them getting heavy armor, hopefully not a controversy. He loses Furious Charge, obviously, because he gained Furious Charge. Increased his magic res to -2, so that way if he's added to a unit, he actually improves their magic res, because otherwise he wouldn't. Everyone else is -1. And then finally, Locus of Wrath. So here's our first Locus, Rob. The Herald, its mount, and any unit that they have joined gain the Hatred All Enemies special rule. What do you think?
Yeah, good. Yeah, yes. They hate everything. That makes a lot of sense. Like the Rage Demons. Yes, they hate everything. Yes.
I thought it was apropos. Excellent. Yeah. I'm glad you're on point. Sorry, with me on that one. And again, this can be put into a bubble, which, unless we're seeing the Chariots if one of them is a large target, but I don't think they are. So yeah, again, it's going to be a 12. You could get a 12-inch bubble of full-on hatred. The next one is a Juggernaut of Khorne. Added demonic charge to the Juggo. Didn't add an extra attack, so I've been, generally speaking, in Renegades, I have been going back and with monstrous infantry and monstrous cavalry. Thank you. I have been getting them up to the 3 attacks that baseline they do in the core armies. I didn't with the Juggo of Khorne because I gave him AP2 on the charge, and also now I also removed the mount restriction from the Demon of Khorne rules because a Juggernaut of Khorne is a Demon of Khorne. It really bothered me that they were excluded from the Khorne rules. So anyway, that's why. So I did not add the attack because he's going to get an extra attack on the charge, and that feels more flavorful anyway.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Also, yes, he should have demonic charge. They are literally battering rams covered in armor.
Yes, they are dope as hell. And also their attacks in combat have a -2 AP as well. So it makes sense. Bloodletters of Khorne. I don't know if there's ever been a time where Bloodletter's been worth his points. Straight up. Maybe there's enough stuff on them. I doubt it now. But anyway, heavy infantry, that was the way it was before. So they are heavy armor now. I dropped them 1 point to 13 points because they do have a lot of extra stuff now. And also I also dropped how much, for some reason they were paying 7 points for their you know what I mean, the people with the standard and the command. Thank you. And then I gave him 25. Everyone gets 25 points to spend for the upgraded champion guy. So nothing much more to say there. Really curious to see, will anyone take a bloodletter? Maybe, maybe not. But they might take a fleshhound. Fleshhounds of Khorne, 30 points. So drop 2 points. Dropped its unit size to a 4-up because they are heavy cavalry. One of the weirdest things I noticed in this whole project is that Fleshhounds of Khorne are heavy cav for some reason. I didn't take that away though because it's good. It's a good rule for them to have. They should probably maybe be war beasts. I don't know how they wound up heavy cavalry, but they did. I kept it. Maybe I'm a hypocrite if I leave it. They're two wounds, 2 attacks, 30 points. That's 15 points a wound.
It's too much.
I don't know. It's pretty good though. I mean, compared to a lot of stuff out there, Robbo.
Yeah, we'll I know. I'm just yeah, for sure.
And then of course, from the original Renegades, they gained Swift Stride. Anyway, Fleshhounds of Khorne, everybody. All right.
By the way, Fleshhound of Khorne over since their existence in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, if that's the point you stopped, they've generally been considered to be like they're not beasts. They're very much like you've got things like Karanak.
Karanak, is like a dude. Yeah,
he's a dude. He's dude. Like they have there's like a level of sentience well above just like Dog of Khorne.
Got
it. And they are bigger and more kind of. I guess Plague Drone is a good example, right? Like they're beefier. It's not just a beastie. It's a big beastie.
Okay, cool. Go to bat for the Fleshhounds of Khorne. Thank you.
Wasn't expecting that today. I'll tell you that.
Blood Crushers of Khorne. Now these guys, I am hoping, just with because there's not a lot of actual changes on them. They're 65 points a model. They're expensive, but they're a load now. So they are going to be a 3-up, 5-up because they got heavy armor on the rider, and they have the barding and stuff. Before they were a 4-up, 5-up, so now they go to the 3-up, 5-up. They're just I don't know. They're a load, man. They seem like they'll be fun and reasonably represent what a friggin' blood crushing Juggo would be. So I hope people get to use these and have fun with them.
Yeah, I'd love to hear like love it or hate it. I think the standardization of monstrous mount being 3 attacks should be fairly standard. I don't know why it's been left off in some places. Like Demigryph is 3.
It's as far as I know, it's only the Renegade factions. It's because
I think you should just to commit to it. Like you don't see Demigryphs everywhere. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? They're good. Demigryphs are good. Don't get me wrong, but you don't see them anywhere near as the numbers as I originally thought you would see them.
Rob, I'm asking a lot here, and I want Blood Crushers to be used. I am totally down with adding them to 3 attacks or getting them up to the 3 attacks, but that would get them to 4 attacks based on the charge, plus 2 impact hits. It's a lot. Khorne is dishing out, dealing attacks in this.
But I'm also
and efficient attacks too.
But the Khorne army more than any of the demons is the most difficult to manage, right? I'm immune to psychology, so I've got no fleeing, so my control of the board state is more difficult, and I'm impetuous. I feel like I don't get as much control over my units as other people do. And so when I do finally get the engagements I want, I think they should be meaningful.
Yeah, all right.
All the other armies are much more controllable, right?
Yes, far
than these.
Infinitely more. Yes.
Yeah. Then I think it would be fine for them to be killy when they kill. But I'd love to hear what other people say.
I'm yellowing it. It's yellowed.
It's yellowed.
It's yellowed. Bloodthirster of Khorne, I think, is 500 points now. Who even knows? Who even knows?
It's 130 points, apparently.
Is it a large target? It is not. All right, so there you go. It's not a large target. It is a character mount only. This is the alternate build for the Skull Cannon. Dropping to 130 points brings it below where the war... what's the battle wagon? Not the battle wagon. The war wagon. Where the war wagon is, where below where a chosen chariot is, below where a black orc chariot is. I feel like that's fine. It can only be ridden by a single Herald of Khorne. You could stack your banner and your special locus on that, and then you get the Totem of Endless Bloodletting. It becomes redundant. But as this is, you could just have you know, a regular Herald on this, like the cheapest Herald you could have for a little over 200 points. And then they give a bubble of rerolls, ones to hit everyone around them, and then they're giving this Chariot, the bloodletters on it, hatred. I think that's not a bad unit. Maybe still a bit pricey, but not a bad unit and a little more reasonable for its points. Our armor value 3+, obviously, it's a nasty heavy Chariot. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's good.
Skull Cannon of Khorne. Don't worry, there's only 3 more of these. Oh God. Skull Cannon of Khorne. You can see why this took a while. Skull Cannon of Khorne, armor value 3 up, upped it, gave it magic res -1. I think it was the only Khorne unit that didn't have magic res -1. Fixed its scatter shot, which is the equivalent of its scrape shot. I need to go back and do this for the ogre, the big ogre chariot cannon as well, because I think right now it's also broken. And that brings us to the end of Khorne. How are you feeling about Khorne, Robert?
Yeah, like I said, like I feel like me as being in control of the. Like, I love the idea, obviously, of punching a big bloodthirster in someone's face. 2 I can take, right? Potentially, I think I can take 2 in this roster.
Bloodthirsters?
Yeah, 1 per 1,000 points.
You could take 2 bloodthirsters. Hell
take
yeah.
2 bloodthirsters. Yeah, fun. Like I think that'll be a real issue for the opponent. I think your point about no shields parry really showcases that yes, 2 things might run around and smash face, but actually, are they going to hold stuff? That's a great question. And also, they're an uncontrollable roster as well. They're gonna. I have less control of the battlefield than I would necessarily want because of that. But yeah, maybe once people play with it, they're like, hey, I think this should just go up some points. Do you know what I mean? And every time you put the points up on something like a Bloodthirster, you compound that problem. You compound the effect if someone takes 2. So if everyone's running 2, and then you put it up by 50 points, well, now they've lost 100 points to something else, right? Like versus just losing 50 points. So that's good. And yeah, generally great. I like that they get plus attack on the charge. It makes sense. I love the magic res. I think, like I say, I think Khorne has been one of the most iterated styles of army over the years. They've really thought it through. And so like there's a lot to work with, right? I'm going to be very interested to see where we've gone with Slaanesh and Tzeentch. I think that'd be interesting, but very cool.
Oh, and I forgot to point out, Fleshhounds of Khorne now have the same weapon. Demonic Talons gives them AP -1 as Furies do. Forgot to point that out in case it was missed. But anyway,
no one wants to be bitten by a dog, let alone a giant demonic dog.
Correct. Who has a personality apparently. That we are now recognizing. Going on to the Great Unclean one. So now we're going to see all the magical stuff, and you're going to note some significant shifts in these guys. So the Great Unclean one bumped him up to movement 6. He was movement 6, not only in 6th, 7th, and 8th, but definitely not Old World. For some reason, dropped to 5. Don't know why. So I said, no, we're going back to 6. And the Great Unclean one also started, and all of them except Tzeentch, they all have a weird starting wizard level. And for both Tzeentch and Nurgle, I wanted them to start at wizard level 3 because that felt the most appropriate. And the Keeper will start lower because again, she's more of that analog against the Bloodthirster. But the Great Unclean one basically gains a free wizard level versus what it was before, but the points did go up. So he was 330 points for, I believe, a wizard level 1, and now he's 30 points more and wizard level 3. So it's basically a 30-point reduction. This is again, I didn't point it out before, but there's singular essence. Outside of that, that's essentially it for the Great Unclean one. Aside from some of the tweaks around him. He is what he is, which is really, really tough. Access to that 4-up armor now as a demonic gift, if you wanted. He's just like a very tanky, feculent mass.
Why does he have stomp attacks D3+1? Does the Bloodthirster as well?
Bloodthirster has no stomps. That is the thing about the Bloodthirster, which I think is just fine given how many high quality attacks he's got. No, his impact hits D3+1. But yeah, the big old Nurgle guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I find the disparity in monster stomps to be a question. I don't really know what the answer is. Like it's just an odd situation where my monster's rolling D3, yours is rolling D6, and I'm like they're the same size. what's happening here. Like, actually, mine's got more legs. Yours is technically a wyvern. Like, do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, explain this to me. But it's a slight problem. It's not really an issue.
Yeah, I don't know how much attention I've paid to the rhyme or reason of when its impact hits versus stomps, or how many stomps a given item would get. It does seem to be quite up in the air, but D3+1 feels fine. I mean, he does. Fine. This guy's also like a decent caster, and he's just kind of meant to be a big, gross dude who survives, and I think he does that well. So pretty good. The Demonic Herald of Nurgle. So you'll note Nurgle went from regular to heavy infantry. And all the Heralds, aside from Khorne, start now as a level 1 wizard, and you can upgrade them to a level 2. No change to the points. They also gain their locus ability, the Demonic Herald of Nurgle. The Herald and any unit they have joined gain the regeneration 5+ special rule, which is pretty dope. So most of a lot of the bigger Nurgle units out there have 6-up regen, so that does let you boost it, certainly in Plague Bearers. And then the Palanquin of Nurgle, I switched it to heavy infantry. I had it as monstrous infantry before, but this is just to mirror the way shield bearers work for dwarfs. They just match the unit type of the thing that it goes inside of. Palanquin of Nurgle, underrated, pretty good. Good reason to get your Epidemius out. Plague Bearers of Nurgle, heavy infantry. They are at 12 points. I think these guys did get a 1-point reduction. Again, very light touch on any of those types of things. Move to heavy infantry. Unit size is now minimum 5+. Pretty straightforward. Beasts of Nurgle at 6. All right, so we got the Beast of Nurgle here. I think the Beast of Nurgle is pretty good. I mean, it's 62 points. It's monstrous infantry. It's got 360 charge. I think the biggest problem it had was it had a minimum unit size of 2+. That was it. And then so we're dropping it to 1+. That can just be like a thing that you bring as a one-off. It can be a real pain. I think it becomes immediately useful. Make it open order so it can do a little pivot at the end of its turn. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Beast of Nurgle here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it definitely slots in for its points. Has some cool rules, and yeah, got nothing against it. You can even issue and accept challenge. Issue and accept challenges with the Beast of Nurgle because they really want to give hugs.
Yeah. Beast of Nurgle are incredibly fun. I feel like they should add even more rules to Beast of Nurgle.
Oh yeah.
Just keep writing rules for Beast of Nurgle. Make them more thematic, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do have a lot. Like they've got poison attacks, impetuous, random attacks, regen 5. I don't know. They're fun.
Yeah. They are fun. They are fun. Maybe they need more survivability to make them like fun and actually get to use it. I don't know.
Yeah, the 5-up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's enough. It's enough.
I think if it's a one model unit at 62 points, again, that's still just monstrous infantry. I feel like that immediately makes it something you can bring. But I mean, is he better than a Tomb Scorpion? At 75 points? No, not offensively, but maybe he's a useful piece elsewhere. I don't know. Nurglings have remained exactly the same. They have the scouts from the 1.5 rules as they have always had. They do get bumped into core, but there you go. Nurglings. As I'm going through this, I wonder if the core thing. No, I'm not going to complicate things. Never mind. Forget I said anything out loud. Plague Drones of Nurgle. These guys are again another unit that I think is already really on the edge of good. They're basically stinky, gross Pegasus Knights. I think the biggest thing that makes them not as good as Pegasus Knights is the fact that they don't have, characters that can ride along with them. But they're really resilient. They have fly. They have swift stride. They skirmish. And my biggest thing was I just gave. There's an upgrade for the Venom Sting, which was a once per round magic item or some not magic weapon upgrade for the Rotfly itself. And I just said, no, if you upgrade the weapon, you get to attack with it. I think that's fine. It just gives them AP 1 and Armor Bane, which mirrors the Plague Sword.
Talking about design space like we did earlier, I think, like production aside as a problem in the past during fantasy battle eras, it's strange still to this day that Games Workshop has multiple game systems, Old World included, where there are units where quite clearly there would be some sort of hero atop a rotfly.
Yeah.
And yet there is not. Like, and I'm sure we can all come up with multiple examples of like, beasties or things that are being ridden, but yet not a character atop said ridden thing, which is design space inside at least arcade journals in the future, which I think is fun. And I'd like to see them explored. Shout out to Ian. And obviously our deep love of wanting to be able to stick anything on top of a snake in Tomb Kings. That would be cool. But do you know what I mean? Like that, like talking about design space that's never been explored.
Yeah.
Like there's so many examples of that where they just haven't got enough of X. And I've always found that strange. So,
and what's especially strange is how in modern Games Workshop,
inconsistent it is. Yeah.
Yeah. In modern Games Workshop, it's more consistent. If the model can do it that we sell, you can do it. Right? Like that's generally speaking the way it goes. In Old World, though, there's all kinds of shit that's just like, oh, if you have this model, you can glue it to this model. And now it's a different model. And like, so I thought, and the reason I'm saying that is I thought about the play drone of Nurgle. And then I thought of the Skaven mounts I didn't put in the game. And I thought about the Rhinox that I didn't give to Tyrants. And I think this definitely falls into the Monstrous Renegadum, a 12-hour marathon podcast that Rob's going to have to sit through about 5 months from now.
I'm actually involved in that one. It'll be 24 hours. Okay?
It's gonna be we'll write and design it in one endless live stream. How about that? That's actually kind of fun.
I'm in.
Oh man! All right, hey, we got to the end of Nurgle. I think Playgrounds of Nurgle.
If you're watching this back, drop a comment at this point. Let's go.
We're halfway home, guys and gals and NBs. Let's go. Keeper of Secrets. Speaking of NBs.
God.
We've raised the movement back to their rightful spot of 10. They have a weapon skill of 9, initiative of 8. Actually, that probably shouldn't be. What's the sacred number of Slaanesh? Is it 8?
7.
It's 7.
No, 5. Wait, hold on. 8 is
Shouldn't be
Nurgle. 8 is Khorne.
No, 8's Khorne.
What am I doing? 7 is Nurgle. 9 is Tzeentch, and 6 is Slaanesh.
It is 6.
Yeah, 6.
Surely I can't make them initiative 6. Although maybe that's why they were 6. Hold on, I think I may have uncovered a secret theming. Sorry, everyone. I know this incredibly long. We can't leave it at 8. That's for darn sure. Come on. One
Just
more.
Make it 6 with +2 on the charge.
Well,
easy.
I mean, they have strike first with their impaling claws. It really doesn't matter. But for some dumb reason, they were initiative 7 before anyway. So we're going to initiative 6. We're actually nerfing. We're actually nerfing the keeper.
There's someone right now bending their monitor in half. They're like,
well, yeah. Oh man, because the reason that happened was me going back and forth between what the keeper was better at than the Bloodthirster versus what the Bloodthirster was better at. So and that's how they wound up at 8 rather than 7. Was the Bloodthirster's at 7, but the Bloodthirster has weapon skill 10, so they have a better weapon skill. Was basically all that's going on there, guys and folks out there. So that's what's happening. I don't know. We'll go back to. How about we just go back to where it was? 7? Let's go back to 7. Because I don't want it to be 8. That's for darn sure. And then what else is happening here? Hand weapons so that they can take the Aether Blade, because the Aether Blade interacts with a hand weapon, so it's kind of a weird wording. And the Keeper, as mentioned, stays just at level 1, so no points adjustment to them. 330 points gets you this sweet stat line. And also now evasive, along with reserve move, stomp attacks D3+1, which adds a +1, and singular essence. So they're just like a brick of stats. Really slippery. I don't know. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
what do you think? I think it's fun.
I don't know. Keeper Secrets is a weird one, right? Like, I feel like it's got evasive, great. Like, modern takes on the Keeper of Secrets are that they are like duelists, like they're single target duelists. They have there's a lot of like ego style rules, like you can only target me if you fail a check, you must direct all your attacks at me. Stuff like that. It's very much like like single target duelists. Their ego, their pomp,
they want to defeat.
They want
you.
They want a one-on-one fight. They want a kind of like like outside the gates of Troy one-on-one battle sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense. Like it makes a lot of sense because it feels like when you read Khorne, they're super killy, and Nurgle is super defensive, and then they're like with the Keeper of Secrets, it's like pretty iconic, right? Like and they want to be fighting someone, but I've never really felt the Keepers had its thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't and that doesn't read as it has a thing. It's like, oh, it's a monster. It's a good monster. It can be a wizard. It can have stuff. That's all true. It's got Swift Stride. It's got Terror. It's got all these things. But it's like, what's its thing? You know what I mean? Like
its thing is, I think, going to be really hard to keep it in your front arc. I think that's its thing.
Yeah. Which maybe that's enough, right? Maybe that's enough.
Yeah. And it's the cheapest. I think they wind up the cheapest. But yeah.
But that's kind of what seems to be modern design on that front.
That's cool. That's cool feedback. A lot of folks suggest. Well, not a lot, but I did see suggestions to take Miao Ying's like anti-challenging whatchamacallit mechanic, and so you could almost do a reverse of that, right? Where you cannot refuse the challenge, which may already be a demonic gift. I'm getting lost in the sauce. I'm running out of brain cells here, folks. Let's keep plowing ahead. No harsh reaction to the Keeper Secrets, I hope. I personally can't wait to get them on the table. The Keeper is as badass as a Bloodthirster is. I think Slaanesh in general just appeals to my not good enough to do this, but think the idea is cool Warhammer brain. And so I would love to see a Keeper out there ripping it up and having a good time. The Demonic Herald of Slaanesh, just like the other ones, starts level 1 now, gains the Locus ability, Locus of Swiftness. Guess what? The Herald in any unit they have joined gain the Strike First special rule. This is actually important for them. I think this is very similar to Witch Elves.
Because of survivability.
It allows them to maybe live, and that's important. There are some units in Slaanesh that don't desperately need that as much. Moving on to Daemons of Slaanesh, a unit that does desperately need that as much. Move them to open order to give them, again, maneuverability and a free pivot at the end of their move. Up them to movement 6 because for some reason, after many, many years of being movement 6, they were dropped to movement 5. Don't know why. Unit size 5+, just because that's the way most units are in this game. And that's it. They obviously get their benefits of -1 in the shooting phase, and then they're quick on the flee and the pursuit, and they've got some cool access to banners and stuff. Would something
like like the gimpy D3 additional charge rolls and stuff, like the mini Swift Strides, that makes sense here? That would make them too fast. It would make them so much faster than so many other infantry units, and elves would be pissed, I think, is the idea. Also strange that because Slaanesh, more than anything, is incredibly linked to the Elvian pantheon, right? Like that's
true.
His,
Dark Elves.
That's it. Yeah. Like and all of the elves, and it's so interesting that you don't see things like elven prowess or something similar on demonettes, like some sort of
sort of like how Cathay mimics a lot of Warriors of Chaos, Tzeentch stuff. Yeah. That's kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, it's
too bad all of the elf mechanics suck, and I don't want to use any of them.
That's true. Well, Elven Reflexes is good if you want to also bump up initiative.
Yeah,
right? As a way of doing it.
But Strike First, I think, works just fine.
And Strike First is the same. Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go to Seekers of Slaanesh. These guys are light cavalry, and drop their points by 2. As far as light cavalry go, they really weren't that overcosted. They do have a bunch of rules. They are skirmishers too, which is fascinating about them. And open order, and so they don't hit like a ton of bricks, but they are certainly a good, useful unit at 19 points. Again, not wildly overcosted. They're not Goblin Wolf Riders. But they do have quality of rules to go with their points cost. So,
okay, Fantastic.
And again, it's a bit terrifying with Slaanesh because I have a really cool idea of how they might play, but then the world's going to take them and be creative with it and find ways to play with them. And so I don't want to overcook certain things by underrating the abilities that have been opened up for them. Because I think as it stands right now, they'll be a challenging army to play against and with. So that's my goal. We're now going to enter the streak of places where it's mostly just points discounts. Fiends of Slaanesh. I don't know who pointed the Fiend of Slaanesh, what they were thinking. It was at 66 points. It was one of the most astoundingly like typo-esque points costs I've seen. Actually, it wasn't. It was 65 points an eighth, so that was discounted 3 points, but not nearly the same model as it was an eighth. I did the Monstrous Cavalry thing of giving it a minimum unit size as 2+, dropped it 20 points. That's all. And also made it so they don't have to use their terrible venomous tail attack. That's all they're doing. They are, just a quick monstrous cavalry unit, ripping around out there. Probably should make them open order. I will do that.
They're a strange one. They emerged from the sculptor room to the rules writers room, and the rules writers went, "What the fuck?" They never really got past that, I think.
They were pretty badass in eighth, and distinct from the beasts of Nurgle. But the new sculpt for them is also wild. Anyway, cool. Human centipede facing the wrong directions. It's great.
Yeah.
And then
Chariots.
and they have built-in support. Health layer of Slaanesh, I think, was 150 points. This is the basically this is the lawnmower one, but it's smaller. So dropped it 25 points or so. Gave it the demonic charge that it had previously, and that's all there is to it. Makes it a elite chariot, an expensive chariot. It's a light chariot, armor 5+, ward. I think that slots quite nicely. Similarly, the Seeker chariot of Slaanesh dropped, I want to say, from 120 points down to 85. Let me just see here. Nope, it was just at 100. So it dropped 15 points, which now puts it in range of actually the Dark Elf chariots. That would be the Elf and the Dark Elf chariots. I think were most similar. This one probably actually better, but not as good and as cheap as like the Undead chariots, for example, which I really wanted to justify to go down to. But anyway, Exalted Seeker Chariot of Slaanesh. Here was one, I think, what was it? 185 points originally. So dropped it down to the same level as the War Wagon. I did drop it down to 5 wounds instead of 6. I think one of the reasons why it was so bloody expensive before was largely due to the fact that it was 6 wounds instead of 5. 5 wound chariots, I think you're limited to the Chosen Chariot is basically the only thing. Certainly the Chosen Chariot is the only other chariot that has countercharge. All the other Slaanesh chariots have countercharge. I thought this would be dope to add that to this because it makes it like genuinely like kind of makes it feel kind of badass. Because it's an AP2 countercharging chariot. Again, same sort of order of magnitude as the Chosen Chariots from the Arcane Journal of Warriors of Chaos. What else is cool to point out here? I think that's basically it. Armor value 4+, 140 points, same as a War Wagon. I think a little bit more expensive than the Chosen Chariot, maybe a little cheaper. Either way, I think it's in the right. I think these are all 3. I think are slotted in a better place. No idea if anyone will use them, but they're cool as hell. Holy shit!
Oh, you got there. I think Slaanesh Slaanesh identity is hidden in the special rules, right?
Yeah.
The ability to now, there's a huge thing that we're not talking about because it was 2 hours ago. In that these units can retreat. They've got the ability to immediately rally, and get back on track. They are fast. They're fragile. I see what you're saying. That there's like an evasive style. I agree with you on all of that. I would say that I feel that really keys in with the ideas that we've always felt about Slaanesh, like the way that they have been playing, the way the way that they could. But I do like that modern philosophy of there being a lot of single combats or these kind of engaging ideas of like ego and stuff, which isn't resplendent in the older ideas and therefore isn't also resplendent here. But again, I think that's really hard rules writing. That's really complex. If anyone has any thoughts in the comments, please let me know. Because
it sure sounds like there's an opportunity there to do an inverse thing. Because like there's the other one is the temptingness of Slaanesh, is the allure of Slaanesh is a big deal, right? So something that I can't remember. Like there might already be one that makes it so they you can't refuse a challenge. But something like that would be very strong though. Or maybe you need to do a leadership check. This is ringing a bell now for me. Oh my!
As long as we never get Cacophonic Choir back, it's fine.
What was that one?
It was 6 dice, you win the game. Cacophonic Choir was 8th edition. Terrible.
Man, we'd have to have a little peek at that, man.
Yeah, please do.
Allure of Slaanesh. Allure of Slaanesh right now is makes them hard. Basically, it's Beguile. Which is 6 to hit if they fail a leadership check. Siren Song is to make them charge you. I don't know. There's some pretty good Slaanesh.
There's some stuff in there. You see what I mean? Like you're definitely going along that route, which I think is really good, like an identity to it. But again, I think all of these should be their own books, right? Expanded out ideas. I think I'd love to actually, as we're talking, I think there's a great idea for a video there, which we should cover in another day.
Another day. And there's all those Dark Elf folks out there who really want cults of Slaanesh. Or the Slaanesh cult for Dark Elves. I think it was a 6th ed army list. Anyway, moving right along. Did we get to Tzeentch, Rob?
The best one.
Okay, let's go. Lord of Change, the greater demon of Tzeentch. You're going to note up in points, up 30 points, because mostly of Master of Sorcery, which I forgot to actually put in their rules. So we'll do that right now. But Master of Sorcery is a Lord of Change, does not randomly generate their spells. Instead, they may choose which spells they know from their chosen lore, including that lore's signature spell and Demons of Tzeentch spells from the lore of demons. So they have lore familiar.
And I can combo that with the 2 heads, right?
And you can combo that with 2 heads. So you can use lore familiar and pick from 2 different lores.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. Commander the Magic Phase. Okay.
I don't know if that's crazy or what, but it is what it is.
I don't think that's crazy in the least. I think maybe that's. I guess the question for everyone at home, and please hit me if you think this is true, is does the Lord of Change feel as magic-y as the Khorne demon feels fighty?
Oh,
and I think you would say no. Right, and that's not a lacking on your part, Val, like on what you've done. I think that is again something that's been true through, maybe not in the last edition, because obviously Magic was so incredibly overpowered, and Kairos was mental in 8th edition. So like maybe not through all of the editions, but it sometimes feels like I'm like, okay, that guy definitely fights very well, but does this guy cast very well? Is that his thing? And that's always something to be conscious of, I would say. Like,
I mean, he's a native 3-up to cast because he's Tzeentch, right? And like the other thing is like the Demons of Tzeentch buffing artifacts and stuff. Like they got some moves in there too for making things better. And I think the Twin Heads one, which by the way, the other way I looked at it, eventually I just gave up and said, you know what? The cleanest way to do this is to make it like the core magic item and not get too complicated. Because the other way I wanted to do this was more of like how Miao Yang works, where she's got 2 modes, right? She's got like the as a dragon form, and she's got the person form. In the case of Lord of Change, with Kairos, Fate Weaver, who you referenced just a second ago, he used to have 2 heads, and each head knew a specific lore. Actually, he knew magic spells picked from a list of lores. So but you could only use 1 head per turn, which is a cool mechanic. So you have sort of an either or. There's like a future and past sort of dynamic going there, and so you have 2 lists of spells that are like, but they're separate. You can't use them together. So that might be that feels less old world, but might be more acceptable. Either way, I don't think this is crazy, and you're gonna pay for this. So this is a 370 point casting model with plus 2 to cast.
I don't think it's crazy at all. I think you're safe. I'd go farther, is what I'm saying.
Got it.
Like, so I think you're safe as hell. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, anyway, that's the Lord of Change. Otherwise, no changes. There was something weird that they did to the Lord of Change. I think they dropped his movement too, but he's flying, so who cares? It doesn't have a lot of it. Oh, yeah, they dropped his attacks from 5 to 4. I think I might just give him 5 attacks again. Anyway, Demonic Herald of Tzeentch. Demonic Herald of Tzeentch, 90 points, starting as a level 1 wizard. Tzeentch is different though. Their heralds can go up to level 3, which is kind of a big deal. But I left him at level 1, so you can pay twice if you want. Can be on a Disc of Tzeentch, Chariot of Tzeentch, but not a Burning Chariot of Tzeentch. Folks out there who might be mad at me about this, I don't know if you noticed that there was this upgrade option here, but when you scroll down on the PDF, there is no explanation that the Burning Chariot of Tzeentch is a character mount. I'm talking about in the original Legacy PDF.
Right, okay.
And if you look at the box, if you go to Games Workshop, you say, I want to buy an Exalted, I want to buy a Burning Chariot of Tzeentch or the Herald on Disc of Tzeentch, you will notice it is a Herald on a Tzeentch Chariot, or it is an Exalted Flamer on a Tzeentch Chariot with two buddies, with two Blue Horror buddies. So they were giving rules for those two things, and I think they made a boo-boo saying the Herald of Tzeentch could be on the Burning Chariot. If you have modeled something that way, I'm sorry. There shouldn't be 2 level 3 casters on the same model. That's I think that's not what they meant. And in the past, when you could do that, like so in 8th edition, when you could do that, he replaced the Exalted Flamer. Instead, in Old World, they just gave us 2 entries. Anyway, that's a long way of explaining why that happened. Locus of Change. The Herald in any unit that they have joined may reroll any ward save roll of a natural 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an 8th edition rule that Tzeentch had. In the past, they've even had +1 to their ward save, which I thought about. That one was from 7th. I like this one. It's basically Grom roll. It's Grom roll or armor, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, what this does to a 4-up save is give you basically a little bit better than a 4-up save. It's not massive, and even less of an impact to a 5-up save. So it's not. It may seem like a lot, but it really ain't. Disc of Tzeentch increases points to 35 points, gave it +1 toughness, and made it monstrous cavalry. Stay tuned to find out why. Also, it should be. The Disc of Tzeentch is huge. It's like a big, mean flying disc thing.
It's a big, yeah. It's big. It's a creature. It's got a mouth.
Yeah, it's a thing. Pink Horrors. Here we go. Here's a significant change. Same points cost. I've gotten rid of the Flames of Tzeentch special rule on them, so they don't have their shooting attack anymore. This might be one where I get in trouble, guys, and you're like, this is stupid. Why did you take away the shooting attack? The reason is I think it's dumb that they have both a magical attack and the shooting attack that's really kind of just a magical attack. It made me mad. So they have access. So Pink Horrors knows one of the following spells: Glittering Robe from the Lore of Illusion, Pink Fire, or Gift of Mutation from the Lore of Demons. The unit may cast a spell as a bound spell. They now work like, surprise, surprise, Sisters of Thorn and Doomfire Warlocks. More specifically, they work exactly like Sisters of Thorn. So they get +1 if they have a champ, and they get +1 if they have a standard bearer. Again, before with the totem or banner of sorcery or whatever the hell it was, you could get to +4 to cast your Gift of Mutation as a bound spell. I don't think that is an interaction that was intentional in 1.5, and that is why it no longer exists. It now works like the other magical units in the game. At 12 points, they are expensive. There's no doubt about that, but I think you can make them real tough, and they could do some cool magic stuff. They can have glittering robes. They can have other casters in them. I think Pink Horrors are cool as hell, and you can also juice up their magical shooting attack with their special banner. I think they're neat. Have at me, internet. Have at me. Iridescent Horror may purchase a demonic gift of up to a total of 25 points. Oh, sweet. Wait a minute. There are no demonic gifts that Tzeentch can take for 25 points? Correct, Val. Someone pointed this out. Maybe we need to invent one, or I just delete this, but right now it is fully redundant. That's why it's yellow.
Okay.
We're almost through. Blue Horrors is Tzeentch here, folks. Rounding it out. 3 points less. They don't get to cast. They have skirmishers as per the 1.5 update. And these guys do keep their Flames of Tzeentch. So that also, to me, makes them different. Gives them a little differentiator. I will tell you, I learned that Blue Horrors had Flames of Tzeentch approximately 2.5 hours ago. That's right. About 5 minutes before I came on this podcast, I noticed that they had Flames of Tzeentch.
Okay.
So Flamers of Tzeentch, these guys have access to the Exalted Flamer, the big old Flamer guy. He was 3 wounds, making him more wounds than a Herald. Is that right? Should an Exalted Flamer be higher than a Herald? Is Exalted higher?
It's quite beefy. It's quite a beefy base. Like it's a beefy bit.
Big beefy base.
Well, he's not in this game. He's on a 30x30, but he's pretty big.
He's 30. There's no way you could fit that model on a 30x30, right?
No chance.
Why are these guys on 30x30s? Are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, someone sent me a picture of your flame on a 30x30. That's actually blown my mind. Now I'm actually reading it because it should be on a big long base. What the hell? Okay.
Yeah, the Exalted Flamer is huge. It's the model off of the Chariot, right?
Yeah. It's huge. Well, it's not huge, but it's way bigger than a Flamer.
We've gone yellow. Gone yellow.
I would relook at this.
Yeah.
I would. It's strange to me that the shooting on this. I think the shooting on this should be much better. That's what I've always thought when it comes to Flamers. But
they are so they're back to D6, and they would be good, wouldn't they? Because their weapon skill, their ballistic skill 4.
Yeah.
And then the flame of Tzeentch, or whatever it is, Warp Flame, is move and shoot, multiple D6, quick shot. So they would be impacted by long range and I guess multiple shots.
Yeah, I just
so it's a -2. So
I just more mean like
5s, yeah.
How do I like Nurgle is a brick wall, right? Like that you run into and you grind through. Slaanesh is an evasive kind of everywhere it wants to be fast army, and Khorne is an army that's running at you and punching. If ever there was a castle building demons, it feels like that emerges from Tzeentch, right? You've got this fragile, old, knackered donkey bird that's casting some spells. Yeah. And then you've got a bunch of
knackered donkey bird.
Then you've got a bunch of gribbly psycho demons in the middle, just giggling their asses off.
Yeah.
Like you really lack the punch in the army. So I feel like the punch becomes this kind of like shooting, like castle style build, magic for the support. You know, that's the kind of style that I've always seen. But then I've always thought the Flamers and the spellcasting then, lacks the punch that where that exists. Because otherwise, like, where's the punch in the army in some cases?
Yeah. They've got magical shooting. They got shooting. And even the Chariots at a little bit less of a price are a bit better. I don't know. I'd love to see how these guys play out with.
Were you ever tempted to add in the Muted Vortex Beast or the other one, whatever that was called, into these armies?
Are they demons though? There's also the feculent Gnarlmaw. There's a bunch of stuff.
One man's demons is another man's ex. I don't know what the
there's a ton of stuff. And I mean, like, even the Legacy PDF clearly was hinting at that. Like Sloppy Bile Piper is an upgrade in this. Actually, we didn't read it because I didn't change them. But Slop and the other one, Scrivel Pox, Scrivener.
Yeah.
Spoil Pox. Anyway, so yeah, they clearly were influenced on this list because those are things that didn't exist as far as I know. And then actually most of the demon special characters are actually just like demonic types. They're not like specific things. Like they can just appear anywhere. So like it could just be upgrades to heralds. You know what I mean? They don't have to be special characters. Anyway, we got no time for sidetracks. Let's get moving. Brimstone Horrors. I don't know. 38 points. Sure. Didn't touch them. They never existed. They're kind of like Blue Horrors in the sense that they never actually really were on the table before as a unique unit. So who cares? Screamers of Tzeentch. Widely regarded as the most terrible unit in the list. And so I made them Monstrous Cavalry instead of War Beasts. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
2-up save and removed Loner. So you can put your Disc of Tzeentch caster in with your Screamers of Tzeentch and go have a good time.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's good.
Because that to me that's iconic to me. A dude surfing a disc with a bunch of weird
Sky
manta
sharks.
rays.
Yeah.
Is great.
It's just the latest Avatar. That's all we're playing.
Chariot of Tzeentch. We got I didn't touch it because it's just it's a screamer chariot. It's actually kind of good for 90 points, not gonna lie. Perfectly cromulent. And then Burning Chariot of Tzeentch, dropped it to that 140 level. Again, cannot be used as a mount anymore. But I am also going to highlight this yellow because the original chariot of Tzeentch that appeared in the Storm of Chaos actually was just the chariot of Tzeentch part plus 2 flamers on it. And you could either upgrade it, and then that was it. And it may have been able to be used as a mount. So I think there might be room here to just have like 1 chariot and make it sort of a Build-A-Bear, and then everyone's happy. There you go. Oh my God, there's 3 Undivided. Shit.
Demon
Prince.
Hold on, for Tzeentch.
Let's wrap it up.
How did you feel about Tzeentch?
Tzeentch, I mean, my assumption for Slaanesh is that it's a lot of changes, will be more fun, but you're still going to lose real bad. Tzeentch to me is a bit more dangerous in the sense that you can overcook things with magic and shooting very easily. So I'm more wary of Tzeentch. And also, if you want to talk about Tzeentch magical shooting, and you can read the horror-filled annals of internet forums from 7th edition talking about the things that Flamers and I guess I don't know if it was Pink Horrors who did the magic attack that they had, but it was gnarly, man. they could do some nasty business. So that is my giving them Blue Fire of Tzeentch, for example, and maybe having the opportunity to have a lot of exalted flamers running around shooting that. I don't know, like you just said, maybe it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. We'll have to see. I also have to learn more about specifically an exalted flamer and where they are in the hierarchy, because it's also strange to me that they're able to be a level 3. Like they're like a tweener thing.
Yeah.
You can really tell which units are at the very end of the list.
Yeah, yeah. I would say some things like Pink Horrors, something that happened in later games, which I thought was interesting, was the capacity for them to have their own spell for themselves, which basically improved them. So, for instance, like, the capacity to cast a single cast, they can cast a spell on themselves, which maybe that gives them the empowered status. Maybe they go to that 4-up ward save. Right, like, but if they cast it, right, a level 1 versus a level 3, are you going to cast it? Who knows? But
that's sort of the idea of glittering robes on them too.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar idea.
There was Undivided.
Demon Princes, who cares? They're the same. We gave them regen 5 up and 1.5. They got they got regen now. They've got access to a bunch of stuff. They do not have Warriors of Chaos stuff. Deal with it. I think it's
Furies.
Fine. Furies gave him levies. So this was one of the...
I'm sorry, I know it's late. I just want to be really clear. I think the Demon Prince is one of those units that should cost 350 to 400 points and be absolutely spectacular. And I know you can immediately add 100 points of magic levels on and 100 points of magic items, but it's the Demon Prince, right? Like, it feels like the pinnacle part, the pinnacle point where a mortal becomes able to join the pantheon of the gods should be more impressive than, a gigantic spawn of Nurgle. Like, it should be much more, is my hot take. And I think the Demon Prince is pretty okay, just to be clear. He's pretty okay at 210 points. He's pretty okay. But that isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I feel that they should be much more impressive, but also much more expensive. Because it's the pinnacle of the, like, when you read about everything that every Chaos Warrior or Chaos Chosen or Chaos Lord ever goes through, it's to reach that 210 point profile. And I feel like they should egg it on more, is my hot take.
But then we got to, like you said, then we got to push Greater Demons into the stratosphere. But I do like the idea of giving them like a reason to be right on that edge of 500 points. Kind of like your, I think I've said it differently every time she's come up, Miao Ying.
Yeah.
The kind of like her, like she's. Sorry, one moment here. I do need to.
On to Chaos Furies.
So the Chaos Furies. One big concern about removing immune to psychology. Like everyone immediately was like, "Well, what about Chaos Furies?" And I was like, "What the fuck is a Chaos Fury?" So I looked it up. And everything I read about Chaos Furies is that they're basically like the tag along also ran of demons. Like they're always like, hey guys, we want to come hang out and be demons, but like no one thinks they're cool. They're cowardly and skittish. Like literally, they use the term like cowardly in the lore describing Chaos Furies, and they're scavengers, and yet somehow they have Furious Charge and Fly 8 and stuff, and Swift Stride and Vanguard. Like they're G units. I think the way you hamstring them, and in a very appropriate way, is you make them unstable. Sorry, they are already unstable, but you make them levies, so they can't benefit from Inspiring Presence or the BSB. They're still good, but if they are forced to test for demonic instability, they're gonna suck real bad. Leadership 5, it's gonna hurt. And that's the story. They're still useful. Demon of Khorne for them is the least useful, so it's 1 point per model. Nurgle, they can't flee with that. 1 point per model, that's why. Slaanesh and Tzeentch may be a little more useful for them. I don't know. Finally, wrapping it up, the old Soul Grinder. The old Grinder of Souls. Now out of print.
Yeah.
Now that the
OOP.
OOP, and I still don't own a single one of these, and I've kind of always wanted one. So anyone out there is selling some really nice painted ones, let me know. The Soul Grinder was $255, so it was in the points cost along with the Steam Tank, as you can't possibly bring 2 of these in a 2,000 point game. Are you crazy? Mm-hmm. So we just dropped that to $240, so it can take a mark and you can still have 2. That's basically the idea there. Baleful Torrent was added to its default stuff because it sucks. It's a column of fire, cumbersome weapon. Who cares? You get it for free.
You just have that.
It's terrible.
That. Someone punch in the air right now. Yes.
Yes. This should be not 30 points. This should be 15 points. I don't even know. You can see. This is what I meant to do before, guys. This isn't just me picking numbers at random. Warp Gaze or Phlegm Bombardment, a recommendation from the lovely Danny McDonald, who identified himself as a soul grinder guy, loves his soul grinders. He's like,
soul grinder aficionado. Why does
it not have Phlegm Bombardment? And I said, I don't know. Let's put it in there. And he wrote it and we stuck it on. Way to go, Danny. You did it. It's there. Also, we made Demonic Flesh be full plate, because how was this thing 5-up save? What the hell? And that's the story, man. Nothing really much more to say. It's a soul grinder. As Khorne, it gets Demon of Khorne free, obviously, because it's the worst one for this particular model, I think. But also, it already has what's the word? Furious Charge. So I just made Demon of Khorne free, and that also means it's free, and it can be taken. It's a perk for Khorne that way too. So you can take 3 soul grinders in a Demon of Khorne list. Look out, watch out, guys, because you can move one to special.
Okay, all right.
That's it. That's Demons of Chaos. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of changes.
It's really 4 armies, right? I know there's a central tenant, but it still just is 4 armies, 4 styles. I mean, the fact that it's a 2.5 hour recording is hopefully emblematic of how long it took you to also do this. So let's give Val and everyone who helped Val a big round of applause.
Yes, those folks as well.
Yeah, those folks for doing such an interesting job. Ultimately, like, arguably, Demons is one of the most evocative things you can create, because it's chaos, it's magic, it's immaterial, it's a bunch of different things. Yeah. And and so it's strange not to be excited about them being maniacal. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I think it's good. It's good.
I think the biggest risk with this one is, yes, it's very different from the way it was. And I didn't say 2 things. One, this was an incredible amount of effort put into an army that was identified by people in our 2025 survey as being the favorite army of 1% of everyone out there. It is maybe the least used faction, and it is the least beloved faction by a mile, which I think maybe explains why GW has struggled with it so much. And maybe that's also because it's always got weird rules. It's either OP as hell or just undercooked. That's kind of where I think it's been most of the time. So I'm hoping that this is just interesting and dynamic.
think it hasn't been explored. Like we've said, it's my same argument for Wood Elves. I think that there is very little exploration, and there are fan favorites, right? And also, the way rules were done back in the day, also basically studio favorites. They're like, pump another dwarf thing out. Oh, I fucking love Warriors of Chaos. I love Vikings in the North. Give me another one of those, right? Yeah. So, the studio is bias, and also the audience then are biased as well. And then I think it becomes a kind of loop, right? It becomes self-replicating as a concept. So you do build those up. Which I think is interesting. You see it also in other game systems as well. Some stuff just isn't as popular as some other stuff, right? Heresy, Iron Warriors, everywhere you go. Because the hazard stripes are cool. So people want to do the hazard stripes, so they literally... But, does that mean they're as good as some of the other factions? I mean, they're better than the Bats faction. They're the worst.
Maybe they should have just put hazard stripes on Slaanesh stuff, and it wouldn't have been so difficult for them. I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe that's what I should have done. Just put hazard stripes on the cover page and skip all of this, and then everyone would be playing Daemons of Chaos, and I wouldn't feel like I'm about to die.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. All of these links will be available. They will be updated, and feedback is much wanted.
Yes, big time. And you know what? Your gut takes, your emotional reactions. Those are fair enough, but also would love to hear from all 25 of you out there playing Daemons of Chaos, or maybe the ones sitting on Dusty Collections. What are you excited about? What do you want to get on the table? Please do try and get as many attacks on your Bloodthirster as you possibly can, and then go see if it feels bad or not. If you're a tournament organizer, and I know a lot of people have been enthusiastically jumping on all of these drafts, just make sure you read through this in detail and you're comfortable and your players are comfortable with them first, and maybe wait for the point 2 if you're worried about people having a bad time. Because again, we took some risks here, and I hope they're appreciated and received with the same intention as they were given.
Well, one last thing I'd like to say, again, just on the microfaction thing, with Khorne being separate to Nurgle, being separate to the 4 different factions, right? I know you can play a bit of everything, right? You can do that, but it's strange, right? Because if it turns out Slaanesh is a harder army to pilot, but is a really, really good army, or Khorne is just really brutal and is a good army, but actually Tzeentch is a slightly less good army. With the SBC system, I'd be almost tempted to almost kind of break them apart. I know that's not possible because of how this is designed, but it's it's more just meant to be advocacy for microfaction kind of things, because really we see that with obviously armies of infamy, right? Some armies of infamy, like Wild Herd, they just get a different tier to Minotaur Blood Herd, right? They just do. Yeah. So even inside of a single book, you can get these kind of stratifications of power levels. So again, something to think about for another day, but we'll do a whole show on that. How's that sound? Super excited. Also, we're about to be the beginning of the financial year for Games Workshop, so we'll get some Old World news soon.
Yeah, unfortunately, hopefully we can get Renegades out all the way out before they scoop me, because they got to get their 40K out. But as soon as 40K has been pre-ordered, I think we see some Old World maybe.
Yeah, so about a month away from some Old World news. Let's go,
Lizard Men and Vampire Counts.
See you soon, everyone. Have fun.